public affairs presentation for God and Country.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
KLZ AM 560, KLZ HD Denver.
Listen live at KLZ560radio.com.
KLZ 560, a Crawford Broadcasting God and Country station.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
It's time for Drive Radio, presented by Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. Whether you need help diagnosing a problem, and we're asking a bunch of questions, we're going to have to answer immediately, or just want to learn about all things automotive.
Hey, how exactly does a positive track player on the printers work?
Well, just then you've come to the right place. So start your engines, buckle up, and get ready to ride. Drive Radio starts now on KLZ 560 The Source.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to, do you hear me, Mindy, okay? Yep, there we go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Drive Radio. John Rush, your host, KLZ 560.
Good morning, John.
Let me turn my headphones up a little bit so I can hear better. How's that?
Yeah, that's good.
All right, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. This is the first time I saw you this year.
Exactly. You always like that end of the year. You say, see you next year.
Yeah.
Anyways, I told all my guys that they're like, see you guys next year.
Right.
Yeah, it's only a day later, but anyways.
I tell them I don't want to see you till next year.
Anyways, Happy New Year. Hope you've all had a great, fantastic holiday weekend. Had a great Christmas. We enjoyed the Saturday off. Larry, did you enjoy your Saturday off? Is Larry listening to me? Did you enjoy your Saturday off, Larry? He's not listening. He can't hear me.
He did.
He did. Yeah, well, I can tell by looking he enjoyed his Saturday off.
Not stressed out or nothing. Yeah.
Anyways, we appreciate you guys listening. Thanks so much for all your dedication to Drive Radio. We are back at it for 2016. We're not going anywhere. We're going to do another full year, and I don't have any plans on stopping, so we'll just keep trucking along.
We have plans on stepping it up.
Exactly. We always do that. Every year it gets better and better and better. So several things in store for you today. We've got a lot of different topics. Most of all, though, we just want to talk to you. 303-477-5600 is our phone number. And if you haven't been outside yet, I know it's still cold outside, but it is absolutely beautiful.
It is.
If you look at the mountains to our west, it's actually one of those breathtaking mornings.
Well, you can't get upset when you wake up like this.
We have a really good view looking out of high atop the KLZ towers, and it is absolutely gorgeous out. But we are here to take your calls, 303-477-5600. Lines are open. Several topics of today. One of them is the 15 common car myths, and I'll debate some of those because I'm not sure that I agree with this entire list. And a question for today. I texted Dennis this earlier, and I thought, well, I'll come up with one on his way in. What's the most powerful car or truck you've ever owned? Now, some of you I know have owned some pretty cool muscle cars in the past, but you know what? There's some sleepers out there also. So what's the most powerful car or truck you've ever owned? 303-477-5600. For example, I drove just recently the new 2016 Subaru WRX STI, which most people are thinking, Subaru? Fast? Subaru, absolutely fast. When you're talking STI.
Fast car.
It is I call it the snow rocket.
Yeah.
Because it is. Symmetrical all-wheel drive, that car flat out, hauls the bacon, fun to drive, low to the ground, handles well. If you see one of those in your rearview mirror, let me just tell you what, those of you guys even driving some of the performance cars, watch out. They're pretty fast.
Yeah.
In fact, they're very fast.
Yep.
It's a fun car to drive.
They are.
Kind of tough to give up, actually.
I drove the other WRXs, the older ones. They're fast too.
A WRX period is
It's
a pretty
fast.
good running car. So
Yes.
you wouldn't think Subaru fast.
Yeah.
Think again.
Yeah.
Now, another side note, by the way, keep in touch with all of our car reviews. They're all listed on drive-radio.com. We are all 100% caught up for 2015. So I'll start into 2016. Here's an interesting tidbit for you, though, Dennis. So this particular week doesn't happen very often, but we have 2 cars this week. Not rare that, or it's not often that we do, but we have 2 cars this week. So my son and I have been kind of switching off back and forth. One of them is a Subaru Outback,
Okay.
which, by the way, is a fantastic car. One of them is a BMW X1. I switched this morning with my son, gave him the BMW and took back the Subaru. And I don't often say this, I'd rather drive the Subaru than the X1.
Oh, really?
I'm not impressed with that X1. It's the couple, something about those German cars.
Yeah.
Cup holders are small. You can't get anything in them. All the storage compartments are small. The car, just internally just feels like you're somewhat cramped. And there's actually more safety/driving features that are standard on the Outback than is on the X1. And you're talking a lot less money on the Subaru.
You'd be a lot less money, I'm sure.
And here's something else to note. The interior noise level is much quieter on the Subaru than it is the BMW.
I always thought Subaru did a pretty good job with that the last couple of years of calming their noise down inside.
It's a pretty good car. Yeah, it works out really well. So just a side note. But anyways, here we go. Let's get some calls rolling. Jay is up first. Jay, welcome to Drive Radio. What's happening, sir?
Well, I'm going to wish you a Happy New Year.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Happy New Year to you all as
18
well.
or 19 more years of the show. I was in Florida on Saturday
I
morning.
appreciate that. Thank you, Jay.
Okay, I have a quick diagnostic so you can tell me the next direction to go.
Okay.
Wife driving the car yesterday, the brakes stopped. I mean, didn't go to one system versus, the front and back. A 2002 Taurus, lots of miles, and never had a problem. And no ABS light, no blown fuses, done my basic diagnostic work. Master cylinder full, just suddenly brakes went to the floor. So it was a half a block away, so she drove it home, put it in the driveway. I looked at what I could see. Where do I go next?
So is the car, evidently the car still has some braking ability even though the pedal's going to the floor?
She said it did, but fortunately it was all uphill.
Okay, so now,
I have a feeling it when I got in it and ran it, the brakes go to the floor. I mean, there's a mechanical stop at the floor.
Okay.
Yeah, to me, it sounds like it could be in the master cylinder itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're still full, there's a plunger or
there is
a cup inside there. So when you push on that rod on the brake, and when you push on the pedal, you're pushing the rod, basically. It's pushing the fluid.
Push the piston.
Yeah, and it's pushing it. As it's pushing it, that cup could be just inverted, or
It's bypassing it, or it's...
I don't know, too, it's probably pretty hard. And it might not be able to push any fluid anymore.
Okay.
So then you have no fluid.
And what happens is, to Dennis's point there, is it will still stay full of fluid because it's not leaking anywhere. It just doesn't have the ability to build pressure.
And the light will come on when the fluid gets low, for one, and then ABS system will go on only if you go into ABS. So you can't even get the ABS to activate to where it sees a real skid.
Good.
Yeah.
Good to know. I'm a car guy, and I've done a lot of master cylinders, and that was my thought. But I thought, wow, Saturday morning, what a time to talk to somebody who actually.
I would go that direction. Now, again, it could be some other areas also, but honestly,
number one.
Yeah, what you're describing, and it's always tough on the radio or over the phone to give an exact, but everything you're describing, that's the direction I would head.
Yeah, that's the first place I would go.
Yeah, me too.
Well, that's great. And if we need to fill airtime, tell everybody a little bit more about the braking system. Otherwise, I'll let you get back to your announcements.
No, we can do that.
Yeah, that's great.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Dennis.
Oh, no, I was just saying, I am a car guy and race guy and all that stuff. So that was my thought, too. But I thought you, on the other end of the line, are people who deal with it every day.
Yep.
And we've done 15 years, 218,000 miles with the car.
That's pretty good.
Not had a problem. And I like the thought. I can visualize the seal of the two seals, two of them, turning backward when you're stepping on the brakes. I can't visualize why it would happen at the end of the driveway, but I can visualize it happening after 12, 15 years.
And one other thing that could have happened, because it's been so cold,
Yes.
that thing could have shrank and done some damage to it. If you haven't flushed your brake fluid out a lot, there could be moisture in there that caused the problem.
And
You know, and you actually have two of those in there.
two cups.
Two cups, yeah. Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
and when you push it, so then it distributes the fluid down through the brake lines to these calipers, and that's why I think that it's more in the master cylinder.
I would tend to agree.
Yeah.
The other thing you could look at on that, just for greens, and sometimes it's hard to tell, but when you pull the cylinder out, you could look at the very end of it and see if you've had any seepage, because sometimes it'll just start to leak and it won't be enough to come out the back of the cylinder and run down the file, or run down the brake
Right,
like
and I have had that happen. I've been driving for 50, 60 years, so.
And it may be doing that, you just can't see it yet because it may not have that much coming out of it. To Dennis's point, the cold weather could very much have affected that. Other thing you need to make sure of, this is everybody else out there listening, anytime you do a brake type service on the vehicle, I would go ahead and flush the entire system and put all new fluid in it.
Yeah, and once you do that, the other thing I need to do is before you drive the car, make sure when you start it up, you keep it in park and pump the brake pedal.
Right.
Because there still could be some fluid that needs to be pushed through and some air. You just want to make sure you got a good solid pedal.
That's right.
Otherwise, you're testing it while you're moving, and you don't want to test it while you're moving.
You're right. I'm on 10 acres, but it still runs out fast.
That's right.
That's right.
Well, then for everybody else listening as well as myself, how about any special instructions on bleeding an ABS system after changing a master?
Yeah, that's real. I'm glad you asked that, Jay. It depends on the system and the car in some cases. Now, I don't think this is the case on your vehicle, but in some cases, you have to have a factory scan tool to actually get it bled out properly, which means you really need to make sure you've got the master cylinder bled out on the bench, get all the air out of it, because the chances of doing that on the vehicle is getting harder and harder nowadays.
And I think that's the best way to go about it anyway. Always bleed your master cylinders or your clutch cylinders on the bench. So when you put it in, you already got the fluid in there.
Much air to get out that way.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to keep you past the break, but I saw on one of the TV shows, and it's on regular VHF.
Got it.
We don't have cable out here in the country, but there was nowadays the fella said when you put a new clutch master cylinder, buy the whole assembly, clutch slave, all pre-pled, all ready to go, put it together. I'd never heard of it.
It works pretty well that way. Now, unfortunately, in some cases, you can't do that. So when you can, yes, but you can't always do that.
You have to disconnect it somewhere.
In some cases, yes.
I've got an old Ranger, and it's simple to
The old Ranger is one of those where
yeah.
you're not going to be able to buy an assembly. You're going to buy a component by a component.
Yeah.
And then can you just crack the bleeder nut and let gravity do it, or do you have to have your wife pump it?
It's best on a Ranger if you've got some sort of a vacuum device to actually pull it through with a vacuum device and bleed it that way.
Yeah, and they have those work really well.
Back, we call them in the industry, and they're not that expensive.
And they work really, really well for
Fantastic.
bleeding your brakes. Yeah.
Yep.
And you capture the brake fluid.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I hope a lot of other people got something out of this discussion.
Well, I appreciate it, Jay. Great phone call. It was really good. Thank you, Jay.
Glad to be your first caller of 2000.
You're it. You're first of 2016, Jay.
Just set the
Okay,
standard.
I'll listen, but we'll talk again.
You're a good man, Jay. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. We can do one more call before the break. Let's go to John in Fort Collins. You're next, John. What's going on, sir?
Hey guys, John in Fort Collins. I've got a 2006 Xterra, and got the famous P430 leg that came in all the time, and I did replace my catalytic, both of my cats on the Xterra. But now every about 200 or 300 miles, the check engine light is coming back on again, right? And it's bang to air, and I think it could be the O2 sensor. How do you test if your O2 sensor is bad? How do you figure that one out?
Well, what we do is we look it up on a computer and use an oscilloscope kind of thing. We watch the O2 sensor run.
How fast it's responding.
Yeah, because what happens is if you take a piece of paper and you just go from the bottom to the top real sharp back and forth, it's responding very well.
Like a heartbeat is what he's trying to talk about.
Yeah, back and forth, up and down.
Yep.
But then as an O2 sensor gets old, it kind of rounds off like a big old D in a sense.
Right.
Yeah, so, and that's when you know they're starting to go bad. And sometimes they don't even respond.
In other words, it's taking longer for that signal to go up and down.
Right.
The longer it takes, the more lazy we call it's getting. And some point, and to some extent, they'll just stop working altogether.
And actually, if you've never done your O2 sensors, you probably should have already done them a couple of times because your cats went bad.
It's funny, the sensor, it only goes on every 200 or 300 miles. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, what Dennis is saying is if you changed cats, you should have went ahead and done the O2 sensors at that same time, just as a preventative maintenance.
Should have done that, yeah. The guy did it, probably didn't, this was another option. Right. Didn't do it. Okay, now, I think there's two O2 sensors.
Yes, a cat and a
Right. Typically, what do you think it is? Is it
doing both? Shooting both.
One's bad, the other's bad.
This is like spark plugs where you wouldn't do one bank and not the other. The same thing follows true with what you're talking about here. Do both sensors.
Okay. That's all I got.
Okay, you're very welcome. What do you want to add to that, Dennis?
Well, that might be why his cats went bad to begin with, because his O2 sensors were bad, and it was trying to it overworked those cats.
Overcompensates.
Yes.
Loads them up.
And then they
go bad.
Yep.
And again, you're hearing Dennis Brewster from Extreme Auto Repair. I should have said that earlier. We got busy talking about the first part of the year and New Year's Day and all that. Mindy's on the other side of the glass. Larry Unger from Larry's Automotive and Transmission is also with us. Tell you what, we'll take a quick break. We'll come right back. We've got open lines. Call us. We'll get you loaded right up. 303-477-5600. This is Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
At Napa, we're always trying to make the great parts we sell even better. From the bacteria-killing surface on our cabin air filters to our revolutionary adaptive wind brakes. And every Napa part is covered by a warranty good at any of our 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores. Yeah, maybe you don't get this at your average auto parts store, but we've spent the last 80 years making sure we're anything but average. Go to NapaOnline.com for a location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
Colorado Select Car Care Centers present 560 ways to care for your car. Especially important this time of year is to check the tire tread depth. Whether you prefer all-season radials or snow tires, just make sure you have enough tread. If you're not sure, stop at any Colorado Select Car Care Center and they'll check it for you. Colorado Select is a hand-picked group of shop owners or ASE certified master technicians driven to provide exceptional customer service. Find a Colorado Select Car Care Center near you at coloradoselect.org.
At our Ladder West Auto and Truck, we won't try to impress you with a waiting room with a big screen TV and lattes. What we will do is give you good service and expert repair. We pride ourselves. We've been interested in good engine vehicle. We stand behind our work with the power of Napa Auto Care and a 3-year or 36,000-mile warranty. And if needed, we do have a customer waiting area. Come see us at our Ladder West Auto for all your repair needs. We are located at 11752 West 64th Avenue, West Arvada, or call 303-420-1065 for an appointment.
Every car has a transmission, and every transmission needs servicing. But most drivers ignore their transmission. Don't fix what ain't broke, as they say. Larry's Automotive is the area's most respected transmission and driveline repair facility. And they'll tell you that most of the expensive repairs they do could easily have been avoided with regular scheduled maintenance. Maybe they were told by a mechanic that their transmission fluid was getting dark, or maybe there was a slight hesitation between gears. Whatever the case, they are now faced with expensive repairs. Larry's technicians are ATRA and ASS certified, and their warranty covers you even if you're out of town. And while there's nobody better for transmission repair than Larry's Automotive, the truth is, they would have preferred to do the preventive maintenance instead. Larry's Automotive and Transmission Repair, the Driveline Pros on Bradburn Boulevard in Westminster. Call 303-427-2108. 303-427-2108.
All right, John Rush, Drive Radio, KLZ 560. Dennis Brewster from Extreme Auto Repair is also with me on Parker. Dennis, you've got something next Saturday that will actually be out doing at your place.
Right, and it's called Accident Awareness.
Okay.
And what that means is, how do we keep from getting into an accident? Second of all, we're going to talk about is what happens if you get into an accident. And then we're going to have a car sitting in the shop, and we're going to show people how a car crushes or how it.
So you can have one of the accident cars in the shop.
Yes.
Something you've picked up from a wreck.
Right. And that way there we can show you how it happens and what happens and why it happens, because cars never used to crush easier before. Now they crush a little bit easier because they've found out how to make them.
They're meant to.
Yes. And that's to keep you from absorbing all that accident, all that pressure and that momentum and stuff.
The good old days of having your car be the tank and you absorbing it, those days are thankfully gone.
Right.
And the vehicle now takes the impact, takes the, it distributes that impact is what I'm trying to say. It's an accordion. Right. Let's just say it that way.
And what we're going to also do is we're going to show you how you should have your seat, how you should position your headrest.
Okay, so here's a question for you. My wife was asking this yesterday as we're driving along. People that you see that drive with the steering wheel like 2 inches from their chest.
That's not good.
That's probably not good, is it?
It is not good at all, because the airbag would deploy. It would send you to the back.
I have a weird question for those of you out there listening to me. Why do some people feel necessary to drive with the steering wheel 2 inches from their chest? And I've noticed it has nothing to do with body type. In other words, someone would say, well, maybe they're too heavy and they're kind of round in shape, and so it puts them closer to the steering wheel. That's not the case. I've seen this with every size, shape, nationality of individuals driving. Some like to drive, way back with their arm kind of stretched out, and I've noticed some like to drive with the steering wheel like they think they're driving NASCAR.
Right.
Where the thing's like right in front of them.
This is where you need to be at the show next week.
You can find out exactly where you're supposed to be.
We're also going to have a chiropractor there that talks about if you get into an accident, what you should do afterwards. Because, to be honest with you, this is coming at a good time. My daughter is
Kevin Flesh wants to show up.
You can.
Our attorney.
Yeah, there you go. We're going to have an insurance agent there. One of the things is my daughter was just in an accident. They were sitting at a stoplight and they got rear-ended by a guy. And her and her friend, they didn't think that they were hurt, so they kind of didn't do anything. So I made them go to the doctor. They went to the doctor. They found out that there is some injuries. Now she's been having real bad neck pains. It comes after the accident, way after.
It doesn't come the day of.
No. And I asked her where the headrest was, and she kind of told me, and I realized that's part of the problem.
Most people don't adjust the headrest properly.
Right, and you want to learn that. You want to come to the show next week or come to the shop, and you're going to learn that.
Okay, so how do they need to register? What do they need to do?
You can go right online to our website, extremeautorepair.com, and you can sign right up, or you can call it in at 303-841-1071. But it'll be very, very valuable. We're gonna have the chiropractor there talking about how can you stretch if you drive a lot, all the kinds of things. And one thing that happens from those shows, or these clinics that we do, is we find out what's the next thing that the people would like to learn. So if you're there, you get to help
plan the next one.
Yeah, because we'll have another one in March.
Okay, so if you would like to be out there with us, we will be broadcasting live, I should say, from Extreme Auto Repair next Saturday. So a week from today, the 9th, I believe is correct, the 9th, 7 days from today. Get out there and let Dennis know you're going to show up.
Yep, it's 10 to 2.
Okay.
10 to 1.
10 to 1.
10 to 1.
We'll be on 10 to 1.
Yeah.
You going to be there 10 to 1?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so
I'll be there longer.
So 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock next Saturday at Extreme Auto Repair. That's 10274 South Dransfeld Road in Parker. So those of you that are in the south end of town especially, but really anybody at all, I can tell you what, you can drive from, I live in East Boulder, and I can make it to Dennis's place on Saturday morning next week in 45 minutes.
Yes.
So it's not that big of a deal. You can literally drive from anywhere in the metro area in about 45 minutes.
And it's free food. And we'll have some giveaways.
Now, I also will tell you this, because of all of the activities going on next week, if there's specific questions and you want to spend a little more time on the phone today, today's the day to call, because there'll be a lot of activities going on next week. So lines are open. 303-477-5600. Give us a call. But most of all, we'd love to see you out at Extreme Auto Repair next Saturday. We'll have some goodies, some giveaways, all the great things that we do. I think my co-partner or my co-host during the week, Dan Muir, will probably be out there with us because he likes to go to those events. So I'm sure he'll pop in and say hi.
He always has a good bunch of questions. I think it's the audience going.
It'll be good. So we'll have a good time. So, question of the day: what's the most powerful car or truck you've ever owned, Dennis? All of the years you've been driving.
Boy, I had a 327 Impala, or an Impala 67
With the
power.
327.
It had a 327. I took it out and rebuilt it and put a 350 back in it, and then I put a Trek tranny in it, clutch. And granny gear was awesome. Have you ever done that? Because it's geared really, really low.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can light the tires up pretty good. It was probably falsifying the power, but it was pretty awesome.
Okay.
It was a lot of fun to play around with.
Okay. So we want to know from you, what is the most powerful car or truck? And I said truck because some people have never owned a car. So what's the most powerful car or truck you've ever owned?
But I got to tell you, one of the fastest cars I've ever driven
Let's hear it.
was a twin turbo 300Z back in the day. About 89, we moved into a dealership. I was working in a dealership. We moved the Nissan into a Buick and GMC. And I went out to make a road test on this car, and it was an automatic. And it was a little wet out there, and I got on it because the guy was complaining about taking off from the start. It had a little hesitation. So I stepped on it. And I'm like, what is going on? This car is not going anywhere. Is something wrong with it? And all of a sudden, I just took off. It was spinning the wheels. And I took off down the road like a jet down Broadway, of all car places.
Really?
Early in the morning. Yeah, when I came back, the general manager was standing outside waiting for me and gave me a little finger, like, come here, And went over there and he started chewing me out for getting on it. And I said, I didn't know I was getting on it. I just kind of stepped on it to get going, and it didn't know so I pushed the pedal harder. Down to the floor it went.
Off the tires went.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay.
It's fast.
Let's hear your story. What's the most powerful car or truck you've ever owned? 303-477-5600. We've got lines open. Call us right now. We'll get you right on air. And also, by the way, we're always here every single week. Any questions that you've got as you head into 2016, maybe you're looking at new cars, maybe you're thinking it's time to make a change, maybe that's going to be one of your goals for this coming year, maybe the goal is just to keep what you've got running as long as possible. We're here to help on either end of that. 303-477-5600. All right, so we've got some common myths that we're going to go through, and I don't know whether I agree with all these or not, but the first common myth, there's 15 of these. 15 common myths you were taught to believe about cars. Number one on this list is leather seats are the best. Now, I'm going to tell you that I think they are, personally.
I don't like them.
For me personally, keeping them clean, taking care of them, and so on, I think they're the easiest.
On that side of the thing, yes, they're easy to take clean.
Especially when you have kids, they're the easiest.
Yeah, but I don't like them during the summer when you got to get out of them.
Because they're hot?
Because you stick to them, and it feels like you leave your skin if you get up off the seat, and if you're in shorts or, any kind of clothes you're on.
Yeah, I guess I'll give you that. Although that's what air conditioning's for.
Yeah, but if you're just sitting in the seat for long periods of time.
Yeah, they can do that.
They can do that. True. I don't like them when it's cold out, when you got the heater.
Yeah.
But now they have
heated regular seats too, cloth seats. Yeah. Leather seats are actually a pain in the backside. So much care and attention goes into maintaining them, or else you get that worn out look that nobody wants. And I'll tell you anymore that on today's late model cars, the leather and so on.
I don't see that.
Yeah, not as big of a deal on that side of the fence. The leather smell that you think is amazing, it's actually perfume. Real leather hides smell terrible. Yeah, that's probably true. The dye and stuff is what you're smelling as much as the real leather itself. The next myth, I'll tell you what, let's take a call real quick. The next myth is this. Bigger engines keep you safer during crashes. I don't know where that myth came from. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. John is next. John, welcome.
Yeah, it's funny, fortuitously, you brought the subject up because it's been on my mind, in fact. I'm wondering, I'm one of those laid-back drivers. I know how to adjust the headrest properly, but I'm wondering if that extra slack is going to risk any kind of injury, like whiplash in an accident.
As far as, so you like to position yourself further away from the wheel rather than closer?
Yeah. Because I'm tall and right.
Actually, that is a good thing, because if you're sitting there relaxed in the seat, not tense, that's what you really need to be. And then by sitting back in the seat completely against it, that's very helpful, because what you're more worried about with the headrest is getting hit from behind,
right? Because
your neck snaps back. So if you have your headrest adjusted at the ball of your head, it keeps you from snapping back. Right. And then as far as going forward, the seatbelt's supposed to hold you tight once it hits, it will hold you tight to the seat.
The airbags are going to go off on late model cars.
Yeah, and then the airbag will go off, so you won't be getting thrown back and forth. If you're sitting back in the back of the seat, your belt will hold you there, and then the airbag will go off to keep you from coming forward. And that's perfect.
I'm one that says not necessarily sit back as far as you possibly can to where you're in the back seat, but especially those of you that are taller, John, in your case, further away is much better than closer. Especially in your case, you want to keep your knees from hitting the dash in the event of an accident, things like that. So whatever is, especially you guys that are tall and lanky. I've got a good friend of mine that he has to buy the right car to even fit into because he just doesn't fit in every car out there. In those cases, you want to make sure you've got plenty of room and buy the right car to fit you.
Yeah, and most of the time, the reason we get hurt so badly is because we tense up. If you ever hear of a drunk getting in an accident,
they're usually not hurt.
They're not hurt because they're relaxed.
That's right.
And so that's why you want to sit in that seat and be relaxed, and not enough that you're going to fall asleep or anything.
And we're not talking about low riders here. We're all the way back, stretched back, and you can barely see over the steering wheel. But you want to be comfortable.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah, I love. I've been in a couple accidents, not my fault actually. I know the rear impact. The first motion is you're propelled forward, and then you're caught by the belt and you're slapped back.
Right.
I was just thinking while I was driving along, leaning back my seat. It seems like it's maybe, I don't know if it's too far of a distance back to the headrest. And like I said, I'm worried about I don't know, whatever that might be.
You typically, and we've done this before, but we can, we'll go over this in detail next Saturday. We can actually show visuals when we're actually out at Extreme Auto Repair. But for those of you that are listening right now, rule of thumb is you only want about a hand width away from, in other words, you want your head within about a hand width away from the headrest. In other words, you don't want to be, 6-8 inches away. You want to be 3-4 inches away from the headrest at all times. That way, if there is an accident, your head's not going back that far is the whole point.
Yeah, it's good to know. And like I said,
and by the way, in your case, and I don't know, John, if your car is this way or not, but most car headrests now, late model vehicles, are adjustable where you can tilt them, forward some if you've got the type of posture where you need that extra slack taken up by the headrest itself. Most of the headrests are adjustable.
Yeah, mine doesn't have that luxury.
Okay. In your case, then, you want to make sure you're just sitting all the way back in the seat, nice and tight. And in some cases, those of you listening, in some cases, that may mean you need to bring the seat back more upright. Most all seats now are reclining, so you can actually adjust them back and forth, up and down, I should say. You'd want to bring that up a little bit to get your head closer to the headrest.
Yeah, I would guess that they're probably second only to child seats, the second least properly adjusted.
Yes.
Thing in a car.
Yes. And that's why we're going to have a chiropractor there too. How should you sit? Your posture.
Right.
In a seat.
Posture is really big.
Yeah.
Something I'm not the greatest.
Because if you have bad posture and you get in an accident, it's just going to make it 3 times worse.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. No, good posture is very key. Yep.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks for
You're very welcome. You bet. John, thanks so much for the phone call. Appreciate it very much. You come out next week and we'll get it handled.
I'd love to have you there since you've been in an accident. You can talk a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So we'll be right back. Don't go away. We got lines open 303-477-5600. We'll be back right here on Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
Your car's fuel economy was never better than when it was new. But time and miles have robbed your car of its MPG and performance. Service managers recommend BG44K to remove carbon and restore mileage in just 1 tank of fuel. In fact, dealerships nationwide use BG44K almost 3 to 1 over any other product. To find a shop with BG products, go to BGFindAShop.com. BG.
Can you imagine selling your car next week and saying to the buyer, hey, don't worry, because the engine is covered against failure for life. It's called the Lifetime Protection Plan for the Engine from BG Products. Now imagine having this huge benefit free with your next oil service when you remember these 2 letters, BG. BGMOA is available at over 20,000 shops nationwide. Find yours at BGFindAShop.com. That's BGFindAShop.com. BG.
John Rush here. I want to talk to you about your pets. I know it's a little weird on Drive Radio to talk about pets, but it's something that a lot of us have. Pets. I have one. I've got a couple of gentlemen along with me today that also have pets. So, David and Dan,
Hey, John.
Dan, first of all, what kind of pet do you have?
I've got a Shih Tzu. Okay. A little black Shih Tzu.
David, you?
I have a 3.5-year-old Alaskan Malamute.
So question I have for you two guys is, are they a part of the family?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, my gosh. Kona is like blood.
And so if something happens to them, making sure they have proper care is like of the utmost, I'm guessing?
Oh, it's very, very important. Money is usually no object.
Okay, so I have a great place you guys can actually take your pets to get them taken care of. It's the Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center. It's owned by Dr. Bill and Nancy Merle. They're longtime supporters of Drive Radio. And not only do they want to make sure that your pets get taken care of, but they've also got a full showroom of goodies. So if you need anything for your pet, they've got prescription dog food. They've got a full pet grooming facility, pet training. So if you've got a puppy or maybe even an older dog that you need to have some training done on, this is a one-stop shop. And guys, you probably know this as well as I. When you walk into most veterinarian clinics, what do they smell like?
Oh, not good. Like animals.
You got my drift.
Yeah, unfortunately.
When you walk in here into Lone Tree Veterinarian Clinic, it is not that way at all. It smells like a really professional, just like any doctor's office you would walk into. That's the way this thing works. So I would encourage you guys, use them. It's Dr. Bill and Nancy Moyle. Their phone number 303-708-8050. You can find them at LoneTreeVet.com.
Life has consequences, and a consequence of a poorly maintained fleet of work vehicles is the unfortunate timing of a breakdown. Your customers are counting on you, and one breakdown could be a deal breaker for the customer your driver is trying to reach. Maybe that customer has clients of his own who are demanding explanation, and so on. How long do you expect to be in business when your customers think you are unreliable? Your solution? Tilden Total Car Care. Using state-of-the-art software to monitor each vehicle in your fleet, Tilden can actually anticipate maintenance items before they become major repairs or ultimately breakdowns. Protect your profits, minimize downtime, and sleep better. Call Tilden Total Car Care today and ask about their fleet maintenance program. Call 303-797-7977. 303-797-7977. Tilden Total Car Care, helping as many people as they can, as fast as they can. Federal in Bellevue in Inglewood and 6th and Peoria in Aurora. Hunting down that hard-to-find part for an out-of-the-ordinary car can be quite a time-consuming chore. Unless, of course, you just go around the corner to your local Napa Auto Parts store, where we have over 310,000 parts, all of them made to fit and perform just like the original. Yeah, there are people who say it's the journey and not the destination, but those people have never tried to find an alternator for
10 seconds, guys.
on a Saturday. Go to NapaOnline.com for the location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
All right, John Rush. Dennis Brewster, Drive Radio, KLZ 560. I think the song is Here We Go, We're on the Road Again. Or no, sorry. Rock Me Like a Hurricane. There we go. I get the right tune going here, I'll be all right.
We're not in Texas.
No, we don't. I don't want those. A lot of tornadoes, but still.
Yeah.
There's a reason why.
I live in Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, my heart goes out to those folks.
gosh.
I've got a good friend of mine that actually lives in that Texas area that I saw a bunch of pictures on Facebook. We started communicating back and forth, and he basically, they totaled his house.
Yeah.
Took the whole second story clear off the house.
Yeah.
And some of the Facebook postings was pretty funny, actually. I've had a really good spirit about it. I got to hand it to him. They were like, this is the first time I think I would ever have said, I'm glad they totaled my house. And I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, why? Well, then the wife was actually explaining it. She's like, well, the reality is we can actually they can scrape it and rebuild it faster than they can actually trying to piece it all together. Before.
Yeah, because you got to cut down where good stuff is.
The other thing she said was, here's the other positives out of this event. She said, I was all worried about having to put all the stuff away from Christmas, and I needed to go through and clean out a bunch of closets the first of the year, and on and on. She's like, well, guess what? Don't have to worry about that anymore.
That's a good attitude.
That's a really good attitude to have.
It is.
So, their whole plus was nobody was injured. It's all stuff The stuff can all be replaced, and they've had a really good spirit about it. So I got to hand it to them.
And my heart goes out. I mean, all our hearts go out to the people that are having the flooding and the sad storms.
Yes. Which, you know what? We're not out of the woods here. We can have big, floods. We can have snowstorms. We can have tornadoes in Colorado. So we're not out of the woods by any means.
Well, we have hailstorms, and I just had our church fixed up. $47,000 worth of damage from 2 years ago.
Yeah. No, we can be affected also. So we're not out of it. All right, Barry, you're next. What's going on, sir?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Barry. Thanks for calling us.
2011 Silverado one-ton truck.
Okay.
And I have several questions regarding the vehicle. The first one is, in the driver's side, the lumbar function doesn't work any longer.
Okay.
Is something like that repairable?
Sometimes, yes.
Cost reasonable?
Those are actually an inflatable. It is in your particular case. I know that's actually an inflatable item, and either it's got something wrong where it won't inflate, or it's gotten a hole in it, or something along those lines. Yes, they can take the seat apart and fix it. Your best bet on that one is not to go to the dealership, but rather go to an actual interior upholstery shop and have that fixed there. Because you know what? In the end, that's where it's going to go anyways.
Yeah, they'll just sublet it.
That's right. If you go to the dealer, they're going to pull the seat, send it over there, have it fixed, and then put the seat back in. You might as well just go there yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Secondly, in 2011, they went to the urea injection system for the Duramax motors. So far, we've replaced the DEF tank heater twice. We've replaced the sensors. We've replaced the catalytic converter. We've replaced the EGR cooler. What else can go wrong with the system? Yeah.
That's unusual. They've actually been a very, very reliable system. And I say that just because I own several of those trucks. They've actually been a reliable system, and I haven't had one lick of problem with any of the Duramax trucks I've got personally, and I've not heard about that being a problem on any kind of a widespread basis. So, frankly, I don't know what to tell you because it's really not a problem.
And I agree with John because we work on a lot of Chevy. We got a lot of texts from Chevrolet and stuff, and they say the same thing. Those do the same thing. We have not seen a lot of that, and a lot of them drive those. So,
yeah, I don't know whether yours just happened to be, I hate to say lemon, but whether you had some sort of, whether there were some issues there originally. The only other thing we have seen that affects the urea injection, as far as the system, the tank, all the apparatuses that you're talking about, is if somebody uses bad urea, which it has a shelf life to it. So urea does go bad after a while. You cannot keep it on the shelf, for 6 months at a time, for example. So the urea can go bad, and it crystallizes, and that can have an adverse effect upon the system. The other thing is if it gets contaminated in any way, shape, or form. We've seen it get contaminated at different times through folks putting diesel fuel on accident into the urea tank. Things along those lines can really cause a lot of havoc. So really, about the only thing that can really cause some of what you're talking about is either just a faulty system from the get-go, or it's gotten contaminated somehow.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, I talked to you folks probably 6-8 months ago, and you'll ask that question about urea, and I typically always, have fresh. Whatever I buy, I pour into the tank right away.
Good. So how many miles a year do you drive that, Barry?
Typically about 15 to 18,000 miles.
Okay, so you're driving enough. Well, you should be able to keep that urea tank full, and as long as you're using good new urea, you should be fine.
Okay. Guys, just personal opinion. My son is a Ford person, and he's trying to get me to buy a Ford truck. I'm thinking about, swapping trucks.
Going to the 6.7?
Yeah, going to the...
I wouldn't, personally, but... Yeah. I could say that because I own, a very large fleet, and I own one Ford, and I won't own another one at this point until two things. One, they're still dinking around with the 6.7, trying to figure out, I think, what combination they're going to end up with on that truck. Now, supposedly, they've got most of their bugs worked out of the 6.7. They've changed the turbo back in 2015. They changed I want to say 14 or 15. They changed the turbo, did an upgrade on the turbo, got rid of some of the turbo lag. But there's two things about that truck that I don't like, and I'm just going to be plain blank. It's the same cabin they've used since 1999.
Oh, God.
Okay, to me, that's a downer. I mean, the doors are the same, the cab is the same, the overall dash is basically the same. They haven't changed the whole cabin of that truck since 1999, and frankly, it's due. Now, they're supposedly going to change it for 2017 model year, and it's going to be an all-aluminum truck, just like the F-150s are, which, again, I'm not a huge fan of, just personally speaking.
Okay.
Especially as the fleet owner, I'm not a fan of an aluminum truck because it's harder to fix.
I think it'd be okay. The aluminum, you're talking about the aluminum frames. They have
the aluminum, everything.
Yeah.
The whole body structure.
I struggle with that because if you go into heavy workloads like we do with our vehicles, I don't think it'll hold up. It'll hold up if you're a resident, just using it every.
The fixability of the aluminum body panels are just going to be harder to fix. And granted, they'll get it. I agree. I do understand that the collision centers will come along. They'll learn how to fix them. Things will go that direction, and it'll probably be the thing of the future. The question just is to you guys that are listening and thinking about going that direction. Do you want to be part of that future? And if you're fine with that, and you don't mind paying extra money to have the vehicle fixed and so on, then that aluminum body is probably not a big deal. But back to your initial question, for 2016, buying an F-250, F-350, knowing some of the things that I just got done telling you, I would not buy it just because I know there's a refresh coming, a major refresh coming, and I don't like the particular cab design of the Fords right now. The other thing I don't particularly care for is the 6.7 out of the 3 diesels that we have on the market, Duramax versus the Cummins. It's the hardest engine of the 3 to work on, period.
And it has the most failures.
And it has the most repairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is my second Duramax, and basically I've had 0 problems with them other than the cotton picking emission system on this vehicle.
And I'll be honest,
unusual.
It really is. It's not. And then again, I own 3 of those trucks personally myself, and of all the trucks I own, they've actually had the least amount of trouble of any of the trucks I own.
Yeah. And I got two trucks, and I don't have any problems with those.
My only complaint with the Duramax is I wish they'd move that stupid DEF tank off the frame rail because it's so ugly the way it hangs down. I wish they could find a better system for that. But outside of that, it's a good truck.
Okay. Well, we've got a 5th wheel trailer, and it's about 14,000 pounds loaded. And I mean, we pull that trailer all over the continental United States, and nearly had a lick of trouble with it.
No, they work well. They work really well. And I just bought a new Ram, I should say. They're not Dodge anymore, a new Ram. And I can give all the reasons of that if somebody wants them, either on or off air. Depends on if you guys want me to indulge that. But I can give you the reasons why I bought a Cummins over a Duramax at some point.
Okay. All right. Good enough.
All right, Barry. Appreciate it very much. Thank you very much for the phone call. Happy New Year. Next phone call coming up. Rousas, am I saying that correctly? Rousas, hang tight. We're going to get you in just 1 minute. Don't go anywhere. This is Drive Radio. John Rush, your host, KLZ 560.
Your car has up to 24 different
And then, did you hear any kind of echo when you did? Okay, that's what I thought too. Okay, thanks.
Possible. Once again, Extreme Auto Repair in Parker has gone to the extreme for you. Extreme Auto Repair's Booster invested in the very same scanning tools that dealerships use. This is important because by using these specialized scanning tools, they can directly connect your car's computer system to the actual manufacturer for instant diagnostics. Manufacturer specs and all of the up-to-date, detailed repair information your technician needs to properly fix your car. Best of all, they are faster and always cheaper than the dealerships. Extreme Auto Repair, the most technologically advanced car care center in Douglas County. Tell them you listen to KLZ and they'll take 20% off your bill. Call 303-841-1071. 303-841-1071. Extreme Auto Repair in Parker. Go to the extreme for you.
This is Red Arrow for Phoenix Weaponry. Phoenix Weaponry is a weapon manufacturer that services the firearm enthusiast. From precision ARs to suppressors, Phoenix Weaponry can make your dreams come true. Phoenix Weaponry is a full-service gun shop that offers gunsmithing, coding, and modifications to your own weapon. Phoenix Weaponry, family-owned and operated right here in Colorado. If you can dream it, Phoenix Weaponry can build it. Call today, 720-340-2496. Again, that's 720-340-2496. Or visit their website, phoenixweaponry.com. Mention Sports from Colorado and receive 10% off your custom-built weapon.
Geno's with a J is your go-to auto service shop in Littleton for all your car care needs. Needing an oil change? Take advantage of Geno's premium $29.95 oil change and receive a free set of windshield wipers with the mention of this ad. See store for details. Brakes, alignments, or car maintenance. Geno's does it all. In business over 32 years, Geno's offers courtesy vehicles while your car is being serviced. They are conveniently located at Knowles and Platte Canyon in Littleton. Visit them online at genosautoservice.com. That's Geno's with a J.
At Napa Auto Parts, we've been the most trusted name in auto parts for over 80 years. Probably because we've never stopped looking for ways to make the great parts we sell even better. It's a commitment to quality you'll find at every one of our 310,000 parts. From the bacteria-killing surface on our cabin air filters, to the patented damping mechanism of our drive-line belt tensioners, to our revolutionary new adaptive brakes. And Napa parts are covered by a warranty that's good at any of our 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores nationwide. Yeah, maybe you don't get this at your average auto parts store, but at Napa, we've spent the last 80 years making sure we're anything but average. To find the Napa Auto Parts store nearest you, go to NapaAutoline.com. Napa, get the good stuff. With over 125 locations in Colorado, southern Wyoming, and western Nebraska, there's only one place to get the good stuff. Napa Auto Parts.
How stressful. You hear a noise, see a fluid leak, feel something funny, a little light comes on your dash, or your car totally breaks down, and you have no idea what it means, what to do, or how to fix it. With how much we depend on our cars to go about our daily lives, you'd think they'd teach us this stuff in school. Luckily for you, you have us. At Community Auto, we're serious about what we do, and we're darn good at it. Having served Fort Collins and Northern Colorado for over 20 years, our family-owned and operated AAA-approved shop has family that extends far beyond our garage doors. At Community Auto, we put the emphasis on care, not just auto repair. Ladies, ever felt intimidated going into an auto repair shop? Scared you'll be taken advantage of? Our female staff is friendly, knowledgeable, and will thoroughly explain and educate you on what's going on with your car. You'll be in the know and in turn be taken care of. Because at Community Auto, we know that a happy car will get you far.
All right, this is John Rush. We did have a caller on the line. Who's this? If you want to call us back, we'll get you right back on air. 303-477-5600. We've had a few calls come in off air. We appreciate that very much. So give us a call. We'll get you right on air, though. We've got a few minutes in this first hour of the year of 2016.
Well, it's hard to say.
And we just roll.
2016.
Just rolls along. Yeah, 2016.
Wow.
Are you a guy that likes even years better than odd years, or does it matter?
Yeah. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
That doesn't matter. We're all about the same.
Yeah.
You roll from one to the next to the next to the next. It didn't really make much difference.
Yeah. I don't like months better.
It used to be back in the day, I only buy even year cars.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. There's just I don't know. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
It really doesn't make any difference whether it's,
It almost becomes a superstition.
Yeah, the only thing that I still am, speaking of new cars, I'm still one of the guys out there, and maybe I shouldn't be, but just from being in the industry as long as I've been, even driving some of these new cars on a weekly basis and watching them, I still am one that I think I'd let a new model year come out for at least 6 months before I'd buy that model.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Just because it takes them a while to get the bugs worked out.
Yeah, working at the dealership when I worked there, it was that way. They knew to wait.
There's just X amount of things they've got to get figured out. So back to Barry's questions about whether you would buy a new Ford versus a Cummins versus a Duramax. Well, if Ford does in fact redo that truck for 2017, that means you're 6 months out from, after the truck is introduced, you're another 6 months out from actually buying that truck. So really, you're probably talking about buying a 2018. So you're 2 years away from that at this point before you really can buy one.
And I would never buy a first year.
I would.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
buy the 2017. First thing when you mentioned it, I wouldn't buy that one. I might look at the 2018 depending on how the 2017 goes.
Yeah, and you'll learn. Yeah, it's exactly. You'll learn a lot in the industry and around from folks like us, even on how well the 2017s are doing when they come out. But I'm one also that'll tell you that I'm not sold on the all aluminum body thing yet. Now, some of you out there are going to argue with me on that, but I'm not sold on that yet. You're going to have to prove to me that that's the direction trucks need to head. Because I'm not convinced yet.
And so with me, I don't know what they're going to do on my side of the vehicles when we buy these heavy duty tow trucks and stuff. Because years ago in '99, I had a Ford and got rid of it because the frame kept cracking on us. And they told me that I was overloading it. And I'm like, we bought it for that.
Right.
And here's the Chevys, so they're holding up in the Dodges and the Freightliners.
Yeah, now and Chevy claims they've got one of the heaviest frames, although the new Rams have a very similar claim to fame. And of course, the new Fords will have a full frame underneath them. What will that be like? Will it be a box frame? Will it be a channel frame? I don't know. Time will tell when that truck comes out. I don't know where their changes are in store. I've read a little bit about that model year coming out, or that change that's going to come out in that model year. But, again, it's all speculation because nobody knows exactly what's going to happen until the truck's introduced. So who knows? All right, let's go to Gilbert, who's up next. Gilbert, welcome. Hello, Gilbert.
Hello.
How's it going?
Hello. Good. I was just wondering if they have a service bulletin for a 2010 Grand Cherokee to replace the box for the blended door on the passenger side with the working. They got cold all the time.
I'm looking real quick. I'll see if I can figure this out real quick. Top of your head, Dennis, do you know?
I'll be honest with you. Yeah, you might have a bulletin on how to do it and stuff, but I don't think, because you saw a lot of those go bad.
You do?
Oh, okay.
And I'm just looking as quickly as I can. This is hard, and I can pull my I can pull our software up and actually look through there and get a better idea, but it'll take me just a little bit of time.
What year was it? What year was it?
2010.
The only TSB that I see is for previous generations. I don't see one on that particular generation. I can look through the top of the news break and double check that for sure. Now, also, I can tell you this is for everybody else out there listening. Anytime you think there might be a technical service bulletin on something that you're driving, any one of our shops during the week, if you call them on the phone, just go to drive-radio.com, find a shop near you. They can look up TSBs for you, even over the phone, if you think it's something that you need that done to.
Yeah. And the TSB just basically helps you do that repair. It doesn't really say that that's not a recall, so to speak.
It's called a technical service bulletin for a reason.
Yeah, and a recall is more like a safety issue of the vehicle, so that wouldn't be a safety issue, the blend door. If it's causing accidents and stuff like that. Go ahead.
I'm looking at recouping some costs.
Well, what you could do is call Chrysler or Jeep and say, look, this is, get in your book and call the White 800 customer number and say, is there any chance I can get reimbursed for this repair? You're going to have to be able to tell them why, you want reimbursed, and did you take it to the dealer? That's the first thing they want to see is, why didn't you take it to the dealer? And you can just tell them, well, whatever the case was, the dealer wasn't open on Saturday when I had my thing fixed, or I was out of town.
How many times, first of all, what engine's in that?
5.7.
Okay, and how many times have you had it fixed?
Now it's been the nickel and dime me.
How many times have you had it fixed?
Yeah, how many times have you had the blend door itself fixed?
I probably had them fixed half the week. I had them diagnose the problem and had them fixed $1,400 later.
So you've had it fixed one time, basically?
Yeah, now it's fixed. I'm hoping. It works now.
Okay. Yeah, and again, I'm back to what I think, and I just looked up for your particular vehicle. I do not see a technical service bulletin for your specific vehicle for a blend door fix.
So that means that they might not have many of those problems.
I just plugged your information into our software, and I don't see a. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not one out there, there's not one coming, but I don't see anything, in a quick search, I do not see anything for a blend door at all.
And let me tell you why they do a technical service bulletin. The reason why they do it is they find out And when all these manufacturers, what they do is they take this data that they get from this labor op code, and they say, this is what the average is fixing these. And then they find out that one part of the country might be doing one thing, another part of the country is doing something else. Or this guy in Montana did a great job of fixing it for like, $110 versus $800 for $1,400. And that they're charging the manufacturer that's under warranty. So what they do is they get all those parts sent back to them. They look at those parts and they say, what's bad on it? What can I make it better?
How can we fix that?
Yeah, and so what they do is they might find out that in doing those repairs, that there's like a clip that they should be fixing, and that's it. And that caused it. And so they find a better way and less expensive way to fix it.
With that, Gilbert, I apologize. We got to run. We're running to the top of the hour. Thanks so much for calling us. We've got 1 hour in the books for 2016. 2 more to go. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Second hour of Drive Radio coming up next. I'm your host, John Rush. Dennis Brewster from Extreme Auto Repair. Mindy, our engineer on the other side of the glass. And Larry Unger from Larry's Automotive and Transmission. We'll be back. Get the lines full. 303-477-5600. Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
Still haven't had enough? Go to drive-radio.com. Email your questions and comments. Download previous programs and find lots of useful information, including your nearest Colorado Select Auto Care Center. That's drive-radio.com. Thanks for listening to Drive Radio, sponsored by the member shops of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers on KLZ 560.
Drive Radio is a presentation of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. The independently owned and operated shops of Colorado Select hold each other accountable for their highest standards of technical expertise, honesty, and professionalism. They all understand that shopping a mechanic is risky business, so Colorado Select was created by this exclusive group of like-minded professionals who are dedicated to raising the level of consumer confidence in Colorado's auto repair industry. Schedule your next oil change at any of the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. Work on Drive Radio, and you'll immediately see the difference. For the complete list of all the member shops in the state, visit drive-radio.com. KLZ AM 560, KLZ HD. Listen live at KLZ560radio.com. KLZ 560, Corporate Broadcasting, God and Country Station. Right leadership you have. And as these jurisdictions come to us, we throw rocks and bricks and violence at them. Tell us in the message, we don't want you in here.
That's Jackson, Mississippi City Councilman Kenneth Stokes making a statement that has been roundly condemned for his apparent advocating of violence against police. Stokes later said he was speaking about police officers from outside jurisdictions who entered the city. He said they put people in danger and he doesn't consider them police officers, he considers them thugs. Madison County Sheriff Randy Tucker said that law enforcement will not be intimidated by the councilman.
We know we can't stop every act of violence, but what if we tried to stop even one? What if Congress did something, anything, to protect our kids from gun violence?
As President Obama, for his weekly radio address chastising Congress for not enacting the gun legislation, President announced he'll be meeting with Attorney General Loretta Lynch on Monday to use executive orders to change gun laws. USA Radio News.
Hey, it's Angie Austin. I want to tell you, I am so thrilled with my Ovation Cell Therapy System. My hair is longer, it's softer, and it's never been fuller. I've had friends comment on it, and my daughter likes my hair so much that Hope asked if she could start trying it. Hope, why do you like Mommy's Ovation hair products?
Because it makes my hair shiny and soft, and it feels so good, and it smells really good, and it smells like heaven.
Your hair does smell like heaven. I always tell her that I snip her hair, and I say, your hair smells like heaven. She says, I know it smells so yummy. All right, so if you want longer, thicker, stronger hair, we've got a risk-free Ovation guarantee. You can go to ovationhair.com and then select Angie Austin on Daybreak USA. You've got an introductory discount, and again, it's risk-free. Go to ovationhair.com, and your hair too can smell like heaven and be soft and long and smell especially yummy. I have to be honest with you, I love Ovation Cell Therapy System because my hair has never looked better, and I'm serious about that. Ovationhair.com, ovationhair.com.
KLZ done.
John Rush started the afternoon rush, weekdays from 3 to 6 on KLZ 560.
Being an expert on general automotive knowledge, what would the correct ignition time be on a 1955 Bel Air Chevrolet with a 327 cubic inch engine and full barrel carburetor?
It is a trick question. Bush, please. The Chevy didn't make it through 27 and 55. The 327 didn't come out to 62. And it wasn't off the barrel with the 4-barrel car to 64. However, in 1964, the correct ignition timing of the Ford degrees before tap dancing.
Get ready for another hour of Drive Radio, brought to you by Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. Got a question for the experts? Then give them a call, 403-477-5600. Now it's time to pop over and get our hands dirty. Drive Radio on KLZ 560 The Source.
And I am your host, John Rush. Drive Radio KLZ 560. Somebody called in a moment ago, by the way, and said that there's smoke all over the west part of Denver. That's because crews are battling a building fire in Arvada. Okay, so it's a pretty large structure fire. It is located at 64th and Wadsworth. There's heavy black smoke and flames are visible. So if you're in that area, you might want to avoid it, but there's a big structure fire right there at not too far from Arvada West. A little bit east of them.
Just east, yep.
So it's not them, so that's a good thing. So
that's a good thing.
Paul and Dorsey, if you're listening, you're good. You're away from that. Yeah, you're fine. You're good. They're actually, I think, up at the farm up in Oregon. So I think they're out and about. So anyways, things look good over there for them. But whoever's now or in that building, what I would just tell you is if you don't need to be in that area, don't be. So that's 64th and Wadsworth. Big, heavy structure fire there right now going on as we speak. So if you see smoke in the area, you know that is why. So 303-477-5600. That's our phone number. Those of you just maybe joining us or tuning in for the second hour of 2016. And we'll be here the entire year, at least, I guess Lord willing, unless something happens, but I plan on being here. And if I'm not, somebody else will be.
That's right. Yeah.
Somebody else will pick up the torch and roll along. So,
that's right.
Hey, you never know what tomorrow brings.
Yeah, no guarantees.
It's just life.
Yeah, no guarantees.
Only that we're all going to die.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only guarantee.
That is it.
But, in all honesty, yes, we will be here the entire year. We're not going anywhere. So we'll keep things right here on KLZ 560 Drive Radio. We've been doing this for 20 plus years. Don't plan on going anywhere. We're just going to keep rocking along like we always have been. So anything you've got on your car, any question, comments, suggestions, what's the most powerful car you've ever owned? 303-477-5600. So we had a call in there before we went to the last break, which we thought we would further this along just a little bit because we didn't get a chance before we had to go to that top of the hour break. TSBs, Technical Service Bulletins. Those are not recalls, Dennis.
Right.
And they don't always mean you're going to get reimbursed.
No.
In fact, in a lot of cases, you're probably not going to get reimbursed.
And you don't even have to have a TSB, a Technical Service Bulletin, to be reimbursed for certain issues. It depends on that situation. And you have to have good documentation. You've got to prove that you've taken it to the dealership or given them an opportunity. And then at that point, they'll make the decision.
Yep.
Or you can call customer assistance in your book. That's the thing in the glove box that, that you see in there all the time.
It gets in the way.
Yeah.
It never gets opened?
Yeah, you should have opened it and read it and fallen asleep to it on your pillow, but
nobody does.
Yeah, and there's a number in there, 1-800 number that you can call and talk to them, and you kind of have to have your ducks in a row when you're going to try to get money back. Because I've done this. I was on the other end of it.
Yeah, you very much have to have your ducks in a row, and what I'm going to say too is, typically speaking, on a vehicle that is now 6 years old, might be some reimbursement there, but it's getting really, really tight because what they're looking at is typically by then it's typically been long enough and had enough miles on it that they're probably not going to do anything.
And they look at your record. They look at the history of those kind of vehicles. They look at a lot of things.
The other thing they will also look at, by the way, for those of you out there wondering about this, customer loyalty, brand loyalty.
Yes, they want to know how many cars have you bought, how many Fords have you owned.
It means a lot to them.
It does.
Believe me in that. It does. If they know, for example, in my case, I've got a dozen or more Ram trucks, and I have a truck problem that may be slightly out of warranty, my chances of getting that fixed under warranty or at least a reimbursement over somebody that owns one truck, it's much higher in my world than it is yours.
Right.
because of that brand loyalty.
Right. And you know, I can honestly tell you, when I was working at the dealer, and I know we have a customer here. Let me go ahead and take K.
Can we do that?
Yeah,
Can we do
let's
K
take
first? Okay, let's take K first. We got lines open, 303-477-5600. K, you're up next.
Hey, Kay. John, this is Kay from Lafayette. How you doing?
Good. Nice to hear from you, Kay.
Oh, good. Listen, my family just bought a Ford through CarMax.
Okay.
And I don't think they're part of the Colorado Select, are they?
They are not.
Select? Okay. Well, it's a F-150 King XL cab, 2012, 16,000 miles.
Okay.
It's in mint condition. It seems to have been the third car of a family.
Okay.
I don't know. I barely got in on the aluminum frame and fixing the cost of fixing that.
That is not one of those. That's one of the older trucks with a regular steel body and such. So that's not an issue on that truck.
Is it a good one? Is it a good buy, do you think?
What engine's in it? Do you know by chance?
Give me three options and I'll tell you. It's got a turbo. It's got 350.
Okay, it's got the EcoBoost V6 in it. That's not a bad engine. They've had good luck with those. That is an engine. Yeah. It is an engine that they need to make sure they're going to run full synthetic fluid in and make sure they stay up on their oil changes, because that same oil is what lubricates the turbocharger. So they need to make sure that they're doing that in the intervals that is called for. Again, going back to the owner's manual, make sure they're doing that the way the owner's manual says to. Outside of that, there's really not a lot of other problems with that truck that they need to take note of.
Well, they were they got it, so they changed it to Subaru, so that they could have something when they go camping and they can carry the skis, the dog, all that stuff.
It's a good truck. There's nothing wrong with it at all.
That's one of the better trucks I think Ford did.
Yeah, and that's a truck that on the F-150, that's different than the F-250s. The F-150 got a complete redesign several years back. That EcoBoost engine is new technology. The F-150, they poured a lot of, and again, that's one of their best-selling units that Ford has, so they pour a lot of money into the R&D of that truck, and unfortunately, the bigger truck kind of takes second fiddle to the F-150s, and that's why we're using the same cab on a Ford that they did back in 1999 on the heavy-duty trucks.
Oh, I see. Listen, can I ask you this? I keep forgetting. Is it, if I don't write it down, it's gone. Is it Select Car Care, or is it
ColoradoSelect.com?
Got it.
So I have to remember.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to Kay. Thank you very much. We appreciate the phone call. And yes, any one of our facilities, from Parker, where Dennis is at, all the way up to Fort Collins, where Community Auto is at, you can find them by going to ColoradoSelect.com. You can also go to drive-radio.com, and all of our sponsors are listed there. But we've got a special section just for our member shop, so you can find a shop near you. And the easiest thing to remember there is just go to ColoradoSelect.com. It's a real simple thing. Okay. All right, let's do this. We've got one more call coming in, 303-477-5600. Lines are open. John in Denver, you are next. What's going on, sir?
Hi. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you.
I have a truck which it uses just a lot of oil when I'm towing. I get like 1,500 normally when I'm not towing, maybe 1,500 miles per quart. And then when I'm towing, I notice it goes way down. I might be like 750 or 600. I'm always putting oil in. Is that something to be concerned about, that engine? Is it
Let's back up. Let's start first things first. What year? What are you driving? What year? How many miles?
It's a 93 Chevy 2500 6.5 turbo diesel with 130,000 miles.
It's pretty normal for that engine.
Unfortunately, it is. Okay, so that's not...
That engine's going to work harder. That is old technology. Not to say that's a bad truck, but that's old technology. That is, again, I'm trying to be nice here, but that's not one of the heaviest diesel engines on the market. Doesn't mean it's a bad diesel, but it's not one of the heavier diesels, and you're just working it harder in that particular situation. So you're going to increase blow by. It's going to use more oil. I wouldn't worry about that, especially on a diesel. It's not an issue. Just make sure you're keeping her full. Now, one thing you could try to do on that truck, and I think it's going to help you, is run full synthetic diesel oil in it. Don't run regular conventional oil.
I would just do Rotella.
You can run Rotella or the Delvac. The Delvac's a great product.
Yeah, I think it's better than the Rotella.
Especially for that particular engine.
Don't they make a 10 W40 you can get now?
And only Amsoil is the only one I know that makes a 1040 full synthetic. Now, that particular oil weight works really, really well on the 7.3 liter Ford diesels. I've never tried it in the old 6.5 turbos.
I know the 6.5 turbos. We've had a couple that come in, and the Delvac works really good with them. It actually cleans it and has some additives in there to help swell the seals a little bit. I would stick with the Delvac myself.
The other thing you could look at on that particular truck also, and I need to get Chris from BG on with us because I'm not an expert when it comes to their diesel oil additives, but I guarantee you that BG has a diesel oil additive product that would probably help you in that. The problem is you'll have to send me an email on it. I'll ask Chris directly, or if he's listening, Chris, if you're listening, send me an email on that. Tell me what product you would actually recommend for that particular engine when it comes to that 6.5 Chevy diesel.
Okay.
And if he does, I'll just announce it on air.
Let me ask you a question. If I do want to go with a little bigger truck like a Cummins diesel, what are good years for that? I'm not, I don't want to spend $40,000, maybe a 2,000 or something like that.
Okay. Here's some tips on the Cummins side of things. So, of course, on the Duramax, just stay away from the first 2 years of the Duramaxes unless you can buy the truck really cheap. And the only reason I say that is because it's really expensive to put injectors in those first 2 years on the Duramaxes. Not that they're a bad truck. It's just literally about a 14-hour job. I'm not exaggerating in the least to do injectors on those. Let's see, that would be 2000, 2001 roughly on the Duramaxes. Okay, so you want to stay away from the early Duramaxes. On the Cummins, most any of the Cummins will be fine and they work fantastic, with the exception of, I believe, and I'm going from memory here, I'd have to look this up to be exact, but 99 to 2000 model year, there were some Brazilian-made blocks that actually could crack and leak current on the outside of the block. It didn't leak internally, but it would leak externally. And what you really want to find in those model years are the blocks that were made in Mexico, not Brazil. And if you go online and look up what I just said, it'll describe everything I'm mentioning. It'll give you exactly what to look for on the engine block to determine one from another. It's not a hard thing to figure out.
Yeah, and John, whatever vehicle you get it checked out, because diesels are very, very important to have them checked out. Like even when John was saying this, I'm thinking up to 2004 on the Duramaxes, you need to make sure that has had certain things done to it. The
injectors.
Yeah. If you don't, you're going to have a lot of expense.
You're going to be putting them in if it hasn't been done.
Yes.
Yeah.
What shops of yours can do that? Check out.
Well, and that's a great question. Not all of them do diesel work. The majority of them do. Now, what I will tell you is, what part of town are you in, John?
I'm in South Denver.
Okay, Extreme Auto Repair. Go out and see Dennis. He's our guy down south that would do all the diesel stuff. He'd be our expert on that, and they could do all of that.
Okay.
A lot of guys that like to come in.
The reason why I say that is not everybody, not everybody in Caller Select Group does diesel repair.
Right.
I forget that.
They should, but they don't.
7.3, like a late 90s. So those are good engines too.
Yes.
But get those checked out. And as far as the transmissions, are all about the same.
The Duramax is going to have the heaviest transmission of everybody, period, until you get up into the really, really late model trucks, and now you're not even spending $40,000, you're going to spend 50 or above. The Duramax diesel with the Allison behind it, that's one of the toughest combinations to beat. Now, that's not to say you can't buy a Cummins and have it work, but if you buy a Cummins, you're going to go see Jeff and Larry over at Larry's and probably have a heavy-duty transmission built for it because the stock ones weren't heavy enough.
Okay.
Now, that's not a problem. It's about $3,500 to $4,000 to have a really good, solid transmission put in the truck. If you buy the truck cheap enough, Jeff can build you a transmission that's heavy enough. Just remember that going into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sense to check out.
Yep.
Good information.
Yep. Okay. A lot to know on the diesel stuff. And again, that's one of those things, John, if need be, send me an email. Just go to drive-radio.com. Send me something if you've got further questions. I do this a ton when it comes to that particular question. In fact, I just answered one a Christmas Day, believe it or not, on that very question. So if that comes up, just let me know.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
You guys have a great day.
You do the same. Happy to help you out. All right, we've got two calls that are on the line right now. Mark and Dan, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We've got one line open, 303-477-5600. Drive Radio coming right back right here on KLZ 560.
We've all been there. You're under the hood and suddenly realize you don't have the parts you need. Or even worse, you don't know what parts you need. Well, at Napa Auto Parts, we have ASE certified parts specialists that make sure you find that right part. One covered by a warranty at any one of 6,000 Napa locations. Yeah, finding the right part might not be easy, but fortunately, finding the right part store is. Go to NapaOnline.com for the location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
Life has consequences, and a consequence of a poorly maintained fleet of work vehicles is the unfortunate timing of a breakdown. Your customers are counting on you, and one breakdown could be a deal breaker for the customer your driver was trying to reach. Maybe that customer has clients of his own who are demanding explanation, and so on. How long do you expect to be in business when your customers think you are unreliable? Your solution? Tilden Total Car Care. Using state-of-the-art software to monitor each vehicle in your fleet, Tilden can actually anticipate maintenance items before they become major repairs or ultimately breakdowns. Protect your profits, minimize downtime, and sleep better. Call Tilden Total Car Care today and ask about their fleet maintenance program. Call 303-797-7977. 303-797-7977. Tilden Total Car Care, helping as many people as they can, as fast as they can. Federal and Bellevue in Inglewood, and 6th and Peoria in Aurora.
Today's cars and trucks are very complicated and can be expensive to repair. At Arvada West Auto and Truck, we can help you to understand the complex nature of repairs. We specialize in computer repairs. Maybe you've tried another shop and you still have the same problem. Let our highly experienced technicians at Arvada West Auto help you. Call 303-422-2605 or stop by and see us at Arvada West Auto and Truck, 11752 West 64th Avenue, West Arvada. Or visit us on the web at ArvadaWestAutoandTruck.com. 303-422-1065.
I want my mileage back. And here's the inside information to get your gas mileage back. Inside your engine, carbon builds up, clogging the injectors and combustion area. If you want your fuel system clean with just one tank of fuel, use what the inside car guys use most. It's called BG44K. In fact, service managers use it almost 3-to-1 over any other fuel system cleaner. To find a shop with BG products, go to BGFindAShop.com. That's BGFindAShop.com. BG. Colorado Select Car Care Centers present 560 ways to care for your car. Especially important this time of year is to change your windshield wipers. Since the rule of thumb is to swap them out every 6 months, consider blades now. And summer blades in the spring. Colorado Select is a hand-picked group of shop owners.
15 seconds, guys.
Master technicians providing exceptional customer service with, at a minimum, a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on every repair. Find a Colorado Select Car Care Center near you at coloradoselect.org.
All right, got one line open. John Rush, Dennis Brewster, Drive Radio, KLZ 560. Mark in Denver is up next, though. Mark, what's going on, sir?
How are you, gentlemen?
Doing great. Thanks for calling, Mark. Happy New Year to you.
Very good. And same to you, too. First-time caller. Here's my question. I'm an original owner of the 2003 Tahoe with the barn doors, and obviously we can't get those anymore.
Nope.
What is, and I'm driving right now, I'll hit 150,000 in about 300 miles, and it runs like a top. What's a motor rebuild and a transmission rebuild for a 5.3?
You'll probably spend between those two around $8,000, but you've got another $150K before you have to worry about it on the engine. The transmission, you're probably getting fairly close to, unless you've been really, really religious about servicing it. And if you have, I've seen them go a couple of $100,000 if they're really taken, really, really good care of. If not, you're going to be due for a transmission here fairly soon.
I'm a maintenance junkie because my other hobby is Porsche.
Okay.
So, not to worry about that, but I kind of want to do them in tandem because this motor really runs strong. I rented a 2016 over the holidays, Tahoe. Really disappointed. I'm a pheasant hunter. I can barely see out the back windows with the kennels back there.
Yeah,
they got so much stuff.
That's right.
Got so much stuff in them. They're useless.
Yeah, they've really yours actually has more room in the back end than the new one does. Yep.
Absolutely, it does. And you know what? The amazing part, I don't have to push a button. I just lift up the strap, shove the seat forward with my hand. That's a lot of physical work.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do anything to your motor. If your engine's running good, I wouldn't, like John said, you got at least another 150,000 miles on it. And I wouldn't do anything with the transmission until you do the engine, because when you do the engine, you're probably going to need to do the training at that point.
I mean, if you're running well and things are strong and you've been really good about maintenance, which it sounds like you have been, I would not be surprised to see you get a couple 100,000 out of that before you do anything major.
Even with the training.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm running on Michelin's, and of course I did the Bilstein changeover with the springs and the shock.
Yep.
It handles amazingly.
Yeah, those are good trucks. They really are. Those were some of the best. Really, they were some of the best trucks, some of the best vehicles made, as far as I'm concerned. Those things are just bulletproof.
And we get a lot of them coming in the shop.
They really work well.
People are not getting rid of them because they just run forever.
Yep. And again, maintained properly, they will run a very, very long time.
Just don't like the design of it. I know Tahoe changes their cycle about every 7 years, but that could be 90 grand by the time I'm ready.
Oh, man. Well, right now, just so you, and you probably already know this, but a fully loaded Tahoe right now, not an extended one like a Suburban, but just a standard Tahoe, they're $75K. And if you go buy an Escalade, they're $95K.
That's what I need out in South Dakota is wood trim and gold wheels. That's what that would help.
There you go. No, and I mean, even a strip, just as a side note, even a stripped down version, Mark, you're going to be hard pressed to buy a Tahoe for much less than about 55 today. And I mean, and you're not going to have the equipment you have on yours now.
Don't want it. I like simple. I like big buttons that says heat, idiot, air conditioning, idiot. That's it.
There you go.
St. Paul, Minnesota, so I'm simple.
There you go.
Fastest car, and I own it, and can't afford to drive anymore because the prices have gone berserk. I have a 97 Carrera S. Wide body. Porsche.
Yeah, nice car.
And it's laughable because they have 282 horse, and now the new Porsche have 500, but 282 is enough to get you into plenty of trouble.
Yes, it is. Yes. Yeah, I always wonder, and it's neat to talk about those cars and all that horsepower and so on, but I'm like you, it's like, that's great, but unless you're racing, where are you going to drive that car?
I tried racing one time in Road American, Wisconsin, Oak Park Lake. They don't make the pens in my size. Which means I found out that I'm good at a Porsche.
Yeah.
Fine dining and touring and cigars.
There you go. There you go. Nothing wrong with that, Mark. That's a good answer. Hey, Happy New Year to you, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate the phone call very much. Thanks. A first-time caller. I appreciate that, Mark. First-time caller for the first show in 2016. We got a couple lines open, 303-477-5600. Dan in Lakewood, you are next. What's going on, sir?
I was trying to decide what to buy. I'm going to buy a diesel pickup, and I got two choices, Dodge or Chevy.
Okay. I think you have two
Which
choices.
one do you think would you buy?
And you're going to buy a new truck?
Yeah.
Well, okay. I wasn't going to do that. I tell you what, this is going to be a little bit longer dissertation. Can you hold on for just 1 second? We'll take a break. We'll come back and I'll tell you why I bought a Ram versus a Chevy.
Okay.
All right. Hang tight. We'll do that. I'll just put you on hold. We'll come right back. We'll do this a little early because this is going to take me a little bit. I'll give you all the research that I did and why I chose personally a new Ram over a new Chevy. We'll be right back. Don't go away. John Rush Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
Today's cars and trucks are very complicated and can be expensive to repair. At Arvada West Auto and Truck, we can help you to understand the complex nature of repairs. We specialize in computer repairs. Maybe you've tried another shop and you still have the same problem. And our highly experienced technicians at Arvada West Auto help you. Call 303-422-1065 or stop by and see us at Arvada West Auto and Truck, 11752 West 64th Avenue, West Arvada. Or visit us on the web at arvadawestautoandtruck.com. Call 3-422-1065.
Geno's with a J is your go-to auto service shop in Littleton for all your car care needs. Needing an oil change? Take advantage of Geno's premium $29.95 oil change and receive a free set of windshield wipers with the mention of this ad. See store for details. Brakes, alignments, or car maintenance. Geno's does it all. In business over 32 years, Geno's offers courtesy vehicles while your car is being serviced. They are conveniently located at Knowles and Flat Canyon in Littleton. Visit them online at genosautoservice.com. That's Geno's with a J.
At Napa, we're always trying to make the great parts we sell even better. From the bacteria-killing surface on our cabin air filters to our revolutionary adaptive one brakes. And every Napa part is covered by a warranty good at any of our 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores. Yeah, maybe you don't get this at your average auto parts store, but we've spent the last 80 years making sure we're really single at average. Go to NapaOnline.com for a location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
John Rush here. I want to talk to you again about your pets. And pets are very much a part of our family. It's one of the things that we talk about a lot amongst ourselves. There's very few pet owners I've ever met where the person hates the pet. Because typically, if that's the case, you don't own one. If you own a pet, they're a part of the family, right? It doesn't really matter whether it's large animals, small animal, cats, dogs, birds, you name it, they're a part of the family, right, guys?
Oh, absolutely. Our Tucker, our little Shih Tzu, he's with us everywhere.
Okay, so in your case, Dan, that's a dog. I mean, I've got a yellow lab. Doesn't require a lot of grooming. I mean, you can wash him and do those sorts of things, but yours actually needs some grooming from time to time, correct?
Oh, yes, the Shih Tzu has to have the proper Shih Tzu cut.
Okay, guess what? Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center will do just that. They've got a full grooming department. Actually, I've been in the center, and the cool part about this is a 2-level veterinarian clinic. So you walk in on the main level, you can drop off your little Fido, whatever your animal's name is. And the cool thing about it too, this is something just as a side note. Most of the time when you walk in and you're trying to fill out paperwork, typically you've got a leash and it's on your arm and you're trying to fight the dog or whatever you have as far as a pet goes. You're doing all that while you're filling out the paperwork, right, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, guess what these guys thought of? There's little hooks on the wall. So when you walk into the counter and you actually start filling out all the paperwork, you can actually put the leash on the hook and you're set and you can actually stop and fill out paperwork. Amazing.
That's actually thinking of the customer first.
Thank you. That's exactly what they do at Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center. The phone number 303-708-8050. Dr. Bill and Nancy Moore are the owners there. They're great long-term supporters of Drive Radio, and I would encourage you, please support them. Take your pets there. You'll not find a better experience at 8681 East Lincoln Avenue in Lone Tree. The web address, LoneTreeVet.com.
Every car has a transmission, and every transmission needs servicing. But most drivers ignore their transmission. Don't fix what ain't broke, as they say. Larry's Automotive is the area's most respected transmission and driveline repair facility. And they'll tell you that most of the expensive repairs they do could easily have been avoided with regular scheduled maintenance. Maybe they were told by a mechanic that their transmission fluid was getting dark, or maybe there was a slight hesitation between gears. Whatever the case, they are now faced with expensive repairs. Larry's technicians are ATRA and ASE certified, and their warranty covers you even if you're out of town. And while there's nobody better for transmission repair than Larry's Automotive, the truth is, 15 prefer to do the preventive maintenance instead. Larry's Automotive and Transmission Repair, the Driveline Pros on Bradburn Boulevard in Westminster. Call 303-427-2108. 303-427-2108.
All right, this is John Rush, Dennis Brewster, Drive Radio KLZ 560. Going to go back to Dan right now and talk about truck purchases. So, Dan, you still with us? Okay, so I'll give you my rundown of why I went ahead and bought a Ram truck over a Duramax, a Chevy or a GMC. First question though I should ask you though is, what are you going to do with the truck?
Well, I'm going to haul some heavy stuff. I don't know whether to get the long box or the short box or the 4-door. I like 4 doors, seems like, but it's got to be able to haul some heavy stuff. I don't know whether to put a rack on top, maybe.
What all are you hauling?
Construction material, scaffolding.
Okay.
Are you going to be using this as a work truck?
Yeah.
Or are you going to use it
a little bit, not 100%.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I'll give you my rundown on the 2 trucks. Because I narrowed it down to either I actually did look at a Ford. One of the other reasons why I didn't buy a new Ford, and some of you out there are not going to probably understand this as much as somebody that would be appreciative of this would, but part of the reason why I nixed Ford off of my list is they have the worst turning radius of any of the 3 trucks, and when you're pushing snow like I do, trying to get into tight spots, that was a big factor to me. So the Ford has the worst turning radius. The Chevy is next. And I'm talking if you go, I went and compared, for example, crew cab short box trucks in every one of those versions. Now, if you need a long box, that changes things a little bit, but it's all relative to one another if you're comparing apples to apples. So Ford has the worst turning radius. Chevy is next. Ram is the best. One of the first reasons I chose Ram was the turning radius. Second thing I looked at is Ram in 2015 came out with on their 6.7 liter diesel in the Cummins. If you buy the 3500 model, whether that be in a single rear wheel or a dual rear wheel, they've actually got a higher horsepower, higher torque capacity to that 6.7 with an Aisin 6-speed transmission, which is actually rated for more foot-pounds of torque than the Allison is actually rated at. One more reason why I went Cummins in the Aisin than I did the Chevy and the Duramax is, again, pushing snow, hauling things, doing some of the things that I do. I wanted all of the extra weight capacity I could actually get because pushing snow is one of the hardest things you could actually do on any truck there is. So those are the two reasons. Going down the list, I actually bought a Mega Cab short box truck. Why? Because I love the extra room in the back seat of the Mega Cab that none of the other manufacturers offer. You can recline the second seat, and if you don't recline it, you can actually fold it down. You can fold it down to where it's completely flat. There's room behind the seat to actually store things, tools, bags, things along those lines. It's just a really, really versatile truck. You still get a 6'4" bed in the back, so if you want to haul some things in it, you can. It's not a long bed, but the versatility of the cab is really where I went with the Mega Cab Cummins over any of the other trucks. So those are a lot of the reasons. On top of that, Ram gives you the most standard creature comforts in the cab over any of the other trucks on the market. The more I looked at it, Ram just kept coming to the top, and I own enough of them. I know the work history or, the repair history behind the ones that we already own. Ram just kept rising to the top for me. That's why I bought the Ram.
What about gas mileage?
Fuel economy, you're going to find the best on a Duramax. The Ford and the Ram, I think, are going to be very comparative to each other. And frankly, they're all going to be very, very similar to one another. You're going to find them all to be 1 to 2 miles to the gallon difference between one another. And frankly, I didn't look at that heavily because, again, with what I'm doing with the truck, fuel economy was not the number one issue for me. It was what the truck was capable of doing. And I'm one that thinks diesel fuel is going to stay down in price for quite some time. That's just I know there's people out there that would argue with me on that, but I don't see it going up anytime soon, so it wasn't a big factor.
Well, do you think you could get 18 to 20 on the highway with that?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I get pushing snow and such. I get 15, 16 running around town, pushing snow and so on. So, if you're gonna look on the diesel end of things, and again, part of the reason why I went Cummins is I also feel like Cummins has the truest heavy duty diesel. I mean, that's the same diesel engine that a lot of the medium duty trucks have got. Not to say that the Duramax isn't similar to that, but the Cummins all cast iron. Heads, block, everything. You're not relying on aluminum heads and a cast iron block and all the different things that some of the other manufacturers do. I just feel like for overall longevity, and I think Dennis will attest to this, I've seen Cummins go 500,000 miles easily on that engine without any major problems, and that says a lot.
Yep. All right. That's all I needed.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right, appreciate that, and I knew that would take a little longer than just a couple of minutes we had before the break. So if anybody's got any questions on that, be sure to just send me an email or drop me a line or call into the show. It doesn't make any difference. I'll answer that any number of ways. Those were the reasons I went through in coming up with the conclusion that I had. There's a lot of you out there I know would disagree with me on that. That's the old Chevy versus Ford versus Dodge. You know what? I own them all. I look at the repair history in all of them. I owned a Duramax. Actually, I just passed my old Duramax down in the fleet. I had a 2012 Duramax I drove for 4 years. Love that truck. I enjoy it. I almost bought another Duramax. The biggest reason for me I didn't, Dennis, frankly, is my Mega Cab. Get this. My Mega Cab Dodge, which is a little bit longer than my old Chev Crew Cab Short Box, still turns 8 feet sharper than my Duramax did, yet I have all that extra cab room.
And when you were talking about the turning radius, this is the difference. When you go up another level, because like our trucks are even bigger than that, And our Chevys actually have a better turning radius than the Freightliners, which is a Dodge.
There you go.
Basically, and then even better than the International.
Those are all things to look at, by the way. For some of you, depending upon what you're doing with the truck, some of those things can become a really big factor, and you need to pay attention to all of that. And by the way, all those specs are typically buried away on the website. You just got to go find them. So if you don't know where to look, let me know, and I'll give them to you. It's real easy. John and Cheyenne, you're next. What's going on, sir?
Hey, Happy New Year, John.
Happy New Year to you, sir.
Okay. I do my own oil changes because I just don't trust most of these places. And I'm always afraid I'm going to over-tighten the drain pan plug. I've got a 2015 Ram 1500 with a 5.7 and an 11 Ram 1500 with the 4.7.
Okay.
I have an older service manual, and I've been using like 25 foot-pounds on my torque wrench.
You're using a torque wrench, you're better than 90% of the guys out there. Most, rule of thumb on a drain plug is you essentially tighten it until it stops and give it about an eighth of a turn, if that. I mean, you just want to snug it up. You do not want to over tighten it.
A quarter is too much, and actually an eighth is not enough. So
Okay. Yeah, I learned about torque wrenches in the military.
I mean, it's just by drain pans, a lot of it is just by feel. I mean, you just want it tight enough it's not going to leak and back out.
Right. Okay. All right. And then second question, I had my transmission service, and the guy is a reputable repair guy in Cheyenne, and he recommended and put in the BG full synthetic transmission fluid.
Okay.
In the 11 Ram. Do you see any issues with that?
No.
Okay. I never heard that BG made their own fluids. I knew they made additives, so I just wanted to make sure that was a good fluid.
Full synthetic fluid, period. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Okay.
Nothing, not all. And they do make a full synthetic ATF, and it's called their BG Premium ATF. Nothing wrong with that at all. Or sorry, it's their full synthetic ATF. Nothing wrong with that at all.
And the guy, the mechanic here said that it's better, it's cheaper, and it's just as good as the Dodge Plus 4, which is what it calls for.
What I will tell you is if BG puts their stamp of approval on it, it's fine by me because they do all their research and they wouldn't make it and they wouldn't advertise it for that particular transmission if they didn't feel like it would work. And I guarantee you there's a warranty to even back that up, which a lot of the other fluid companies aren't even offering.
All right, John. Well, those are my questions. Okay. Have a good day, and thanks for helping out.
You bet. Thank you very much. And that is a fact because I just looked it up on their website. They have their lifetime BG protection plan. So that's located right on their website. If the initial service is performed within 75,000 miles, to maintain coverage, get a BG transmission service every 30,000 miles, and you end up with the lifetime BG protection plan. Easy enough. So that's really simple. All right. Next phone call. We've got one line open, 303-477-5600. Bob in Centennial, you're next.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Good. Thanks for calling us, Bob.
Yeah, I got an 08 Subaru Outback, got about 87,000 on it. And I've got a troubling noise that I hear between about 40 and 50 miles an hour. It's a low-pitched whine or hum. And at first I thought it was my tires. I've got Michelin Defenders on it.
Okay.
So I swapped the wheels and tires out with a friend of mine who's got a similar vehicle. And unfortunately that wasn't it. It's still making the noise. It's a bit subtle.
When does the whine come in? In other words, what kind of mileage? Vehicle hot or cold? Is it on D-cell, X-cell? Explain any of that if you can.
I'm not reading it.
Say that again. Bob, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, now we got you. So say that again. If you can tell me when the noise comes in as far as XL, D-cell, all of that, that would help us.
Well, it's 40 and 50 miles an hour, whether you're going up or cutting back down.
Okay.
And I've also noticed at that speed when it's making the noise, this is a manual transmission. If I take it out of gear, the noise is still there. So I think it has something to do with the wheels or something wrong.
Yeah, that means you're saying it could be something in the drive line itself, could also be in the transaxle assembly, could be in one of the differentials.
Bearing.
Could be a wheel bearing.
Yeah.
That's one of those where I think what I would do, Bob, is you're close to Geno's in Centennial, you're close to Geno's. I would drive it by there and just have John or Steve go for a ride with you see if they can kind of help pinpoint that. That would give them a better idea what they even need to start looking at to go tackle that.
Okay. I guess the other option is just to keep driving it. It hasn't increased on volume. Is just to keep driving it until it gets louder.
You could, but although this is not going to cost you anything to roll by Geno's and say, listen, guys, I heard you on the radio. I need to have somebody take a listen to this. They'll go out and go for a ride with you and tell you whether it needs to be investigated further or not.
The reason I would recommend that you do it right away is because you don't know what kind of damage is happening behind the scene.
Right.
Because if it's a bearing that's, just say a bearing and the outside race is spinning inside, it's damaging that. And so if we stop it in time, we can fix it. It's less repair.
Any kind of a noise, I'd have it listened to.
Yeah. Because it doesn't cost you anything.
Nope.
Do they work on Subarus much?
Yes, they do a lot. Just pop it in there. Tell them you heard them on the radio. They'll take care of you.
Where are they?
They're at Bowles and Platte Canyon, right in Littleton.
Okay.
Find them at genosautoservice.com.
Is that G-I-N-O?
It's Geno's with a J.
Geno's with a J. All right.
All right, Bob. Thank you very much. Appreciate the phone call. Yeah, Geno's with a J. That's GENO''S. Geno's with a J. Which, by the way, Steve and the guys out there are great guys. So Geno with a J. Let's go to Dale in Fort Lupton. Dale, what's going on, sir?
Hey, guys. You got a 2000 Chevy 3500 and 454. Since I bought it, if I'm doing like 25 or 30 and I step down and it goes into low, it kind of falls flat on its face. And after you get some speed up, and you can feel it kind of surge and it'll start picking up. Now, the other day I went down I-76, had the cruise control set at 78, got off of the highway on the 470, and I was doing about 45, and I hit resume, and it about jumped out from under me and seemed to do fine. But if I do it by my foot pedal, it just doesn't have it.
That got me kind of baffled there.
Would it have anything to do with mass airflow dirty or anything?
No, because if your cruise control is making it work right,
it's all the same throttle response. That part won't change. The cruise is just moving the throttle instead of you doing it with your foot. There's no difference there.
Okay. Well, that's great.
The only other thing that you might want to check is I think that 2000 is still drive-by-wire, which means the foot feed down at the floor is a signal that then goes up to the throttle body and tells it how much to move. And those have had a problem with that foot pedal going bad. If that foot feed is not indicating where the proper movement is what I'm trying to say, the throttle body won't move like it should, where the cruise control is independent of what's going on down below on the foot feed. That could be what's going on, but you'd have to have somebody double check the foot feed to make sure that it's working properly. But I will tell you this, those have been a problem, and I think you'll find even most of the aftermarket suppliers stocking foot pedals for that truck. That's how big a problem it is.
Oh, wow, okay.
So that'd be the first thing I would look at.
Okay, is there a way to be able to tell? I mean, if I took it in and somebody hooked something up to it,
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they can scan that and look at it and determine what's going on with it.
I may try the cruise control again at a slower speed, set at 60, and try to hit it at 30 and see if it jumps.
That'd be a good test for it, and make sure you explain that to the shop when you bring it in there so that they know all of that.
Even if you can take them for a ride, that'd be even better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have time for one more question?
You know what? I'll do this. I'll put you on hold real quick. We'll take a quick break. I'll come back and I'll answer it. How's that sound?
Okay.
All right, we'll do that. Hang on, Dale. We'll be right back. Jim in Centennial, you've got a question on an out-of-state used car purchase. We'll be back with that question also. And then Etta in Denver, a 2010 Forester transmission question. We'll have both of those also. Don't go away. We'll get all those in before the top of the hour. John Rush Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
Hello, Drive Radio listeners. This is Chris Hammond with Kings and Leslie Distributing, your local BG products distributor. Back again this week with your BG Tech Tip. This week, we are going to take a look at brake fluid. Understanding when to change your brake fluid can be very confusing. Some manufacturers include it in the recommended maintenance schedule as early as every 20,000 miles, and other manufacturers completely leave it off of the maintenance schedule. So,
Why would you need to change your brake fluid at all? And how are you supposed to know when to do it? Well, you see, brake fluid is hygroscopic, which means it attracts and entrains water. As your brake fluid attracts water, it can become corrosive and have a reduced boiling point, thus decreasing the effectiveness in hard stops. To know when to exchange your brake fluid, your technician can perform a simple test to identify the amount of copper content in the brake fluid. Many of the lines and components in the brake system contain copper, so the presence of copper in the fluid is a relative indicator of the corrosiveness in the fluid. As with any fluid in your car, the best time to change the fluid is before it fails. On average, we recommend exchanging the brake fluid in your car at least every 30,000 miles or whenever the copper content indicates a severely corrosive nature of the fluid. Whenever you have a question about any fluid on your car, partner with a trusted technician and get the best advice possible. Thanks again, Drive Radio listeners. This is Chris Hammond with BG Products. We'll talk to you again next week.
Hunting down that hard-to-find part for an out-of-the-ordinary car can be quite a time-consuming chore. Unless, of course, you just go around the corner to your local Napa Auto Parts store, where we have over 310,000 parts, all of them made to fit and perform just like the original. Yeah, there are people who say it's the journey and not the destination, but those people have never tried to find an alternator for an 82 Fiat on a Saturday. Go to NapaOnline.com for the location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
That will alignment can affect tire wear and fuel mileage that will cost you more for repairs and fuel. Aletta West uses state-of-the-art 3D imaging to align all four wheels of the vehicle. Be aware that irregular tire wear could also cause the need for additional alignment parts. Stop in or call us for our alignment special. Mention this ad and we'll inspect your vehicle and check your alignment starting at $69.95. Call Aletta West Auto at 303-422-1065. Stop by 11752 West 64th Avenue or visit us on the web at AllettaWestAutoandTruck.com.
How stressful. You hear a noise, see a fluid leak, feel something funny, a little light comes on your dash, or your car totally breaks down, and you have no idea what it means, what to do, or how to fix it. With how much we depend on our cars to go about our daily lives, you'd think they'd teach us this stuff in school. Luckily for you, you have us. At Community Auto, we're serious about what we do, and we're darn good at it. Having served Fort Collins and Northern Colorado for over 20 years, our family-owned and operated AAA-approved shop has family that extends far beyond our garage doors. At Community Auto, we put the emphasis on care, not just auto repair. Ladies, ever felt intimidated going into an auto repair shop? Scared you'll be taken advantage of? Our female staff is friendly, knowledgeable, and will thoroughly explain and educate you on what's going on with your car. You'll be in the know and in turn be taken care of. Because at Community Auto, we know that a happy car will get you far.
I want my mileage back. And here's the inside information to get your gas mileage back. Inside your engine, carbon builds up, clogging the injectors and combustion area. If you want your fuel system clean with just one tank of fuel, here's what the inside car guys use most. It's called BG44K. In fact, service managers use it almost 3-to-1 over any other fuel system cleaner. To find a shop with BG products, go to BGFindAShop.com. That's BGFindAShop.com. BG.
All
right, John Rush, Dennis Brewster, Drive Radio. Dale had another question. I wanted to make sure we got that answered. So, Dale, welcome back. What's your second question?
I've got a 97 Buick Sabre. It has 171,000. In the past 15,000, I've taken it on 2 trips, one to Grand Tetons, one to Missouri. You have to drive it several hundred miles before it'll do it, but it'll develop a vibration in the front end. It feels like it's coming through the steering wheel. It never does it unless you're on a long trip. Would that be wheel bearing starting?
Possibly. Or a CV axle that's starting to go bad, or a transmission that's got a problem.
Well, I've seen some of those CVs do that, to be honest with you, because what happens is people don't replace them, and they've been on there for a long, long, long time. Your car, 97 is almost 20 years old,
right?
You know, and they wear out. And then what happens is the grease gets worn and gets thin, then they start it'll start coming pronounced.
Okay, because I know they've never been replaced. So
Yeah.
none the gate bearings or the CV. Okay, well that'll give me something to shoot for.
Yeah. That's the first place I would go with that.
Okay.
So, okay.
All right.
All right.
Okay, appreciate it, Dale. Thanks so much for your phone call. All right, let's see who's next. Let's go to Jim in Centennial. Jim, you're next. What's going on, sir?
Hey guys, I thought I'd run this past you, see how you would do this. I'm looking at buying a used car, relatively new, 2013, 2015 range, and out of state. I'm finding better prices out of state than I'm in Colorado. And I'm wondering how you would go about that in doing the research. And is there enough information in Carfax or the auto check to know if it was a program car or if it was individually owned, and
there is
information and so forth.
There is, when it comes to some of the things you just mentioned. Yes, there's information on, who's on the car. Was it a program car? Was it an off-lease car? Was it an off-rental car? Things like that. Yes, those things will come up in Carfax. It's worth looking at that. On top of that, you've got to find somebody in that area that you know and trust will do a complete used car inspection. Otherwise, it's a gamble when you get it out here.
Throwing some dice.
Yeah.
Okay, even if it's relatively new, a couple years old, 25,000 miles or so.
With all the flooding we've had from coast to coast, I don't care if it's a week-old car.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we're talking about floods right now as we speak, and tornadoes and.
Yeah.
I mean, frankly, I don't really care if the car is 6 months old. You don't know. Exactly.
And I like what John was saying. You can look to see if there was a program car or a rental car or whatever. But Carfax, we don't report everything to Carfax.
No, not everybody does.
Not everybody does. Not every body shop does. Not every collision center does. So you got to kind of weigh that with that.
Right.
I wouldn't trust those completely. I would to find out if it was a rental car.
Right.
Or a program car.
Yeah, to find out the history of the car, where it's been registered, as the car hopped around all over the country, where was its first sale at? All of those things will come up on Carfax, which at least gives you some history. And for example, if that car has always been in Montana, and we know for a fact there really hasn't been any flooding or any major catastrophes in Montana, okay, then that's a pretty good indication. It's probably not been in a flood, and you probably don't have any issues that way. If that car's been registered in St. Louis, or in Missouri, or in Indiana, or Chicago, or Florida, or you get my drift, now you can start to see some of the natural disasters that could have plagued the car.
Or like you were saying, Montana. It's from Montana, and they went down to Missouri, and all of a sudden they're registered in Montana, but the car's out of Missouri. I would stay away from it because why is it in Missouri?
Right.
Probably because it broke down during a flood.
Or yeah, exactly. You have no idea why. Yeah. That's exactly right. The other thing that happens a lot of times is these dealers will buy cars at auction, run them all over the country. Not saying that's a bad thing, but you lose a little bit of the history of the car and you don't quite know everything that's going on. Doesn't mean it's a bad car. It just means you have to do more work to know it's a good car.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense?
And then, yes, it does. And then Carfax, I noticed that it'll say if there's an accident, but it doesn't tell you. There's no pictures. It doesn't tell you
that is
details.
Correct. That is correct.
So that's the inspection.
That's right.
And that's not always. I mean, yeah, some of those collision centers report it, but not everybody. So that's my big thing. Is not everybody.
Yeah, you won't. Exactly. Yeah, what Dennis is saying is you won't know every single problem that's been on the car. You won't know.
Right.
That's the problem.
But I should know if it's been totaled.
You will know if it's been. Yeah, if the insurance company is reporting that correctly, yes, you will know that.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, guys.
You're very welcome. Appreciate the phone call. Let's go to Etta, who's been holding quite a while. Etta, welcome. What's going on?
Hi. I've got a 2010 Forester with about 53,000 miles on it, so it hasn't done a lot of driving.
Nope, not a lot.
And I noticed this past summer that when I would shift into reverse, it would kind of hesitate before it would go forward. And I thought, is it my imagination or what? Anyway, I got it at Groove Subaru, and that's where they do the oil changes and stuff. And they said, well, your transmission sounds like it needs to be looked at. And, they named all sorts of expensive tests. And Also in August, I took it up Pikes Peak, and I was told that was really hard on the car after I had done it. So I don't know, and I don't know if that would cause problems.
No, it should not cause any problems. That vehicle is more than equipped to handle going up Pikes Peak, and if somebody's telling you that, quite frankly, they're incorrect. I'll just say that
I don't know
incorrect.
Okay, so it's not that hard on the car.
No, it is not.
Okay. And so I guess my question is I don't really know if I have a transmission problem, and if so, where would be the better place to go?
Okay, what I'm going to recommend that you do, what part of Denver are you in?
I'm in southeast Denver, kind of by DU.
Okay.
But I'd be willing to go to that Larry transmission place.
I was just going to say, if you don't want to drive up to see Larry and Jeff, have Larry or Jeff, preferably Jeff, because he's the transmission guy in the group. Have Jeff go for a ride with you. He can tell you whether or not anything needs looked at, what needs to be done. If there's any services that are due, they could do all of that there. And I will tell you this, you won't find anybody more honest to look at it when it comes to the transmission side of the fence than them.
Okay. So they just take a ride and they can tell.
Jeff is the type of a guy that, yes, he will be able to take a ride in that vehicle and tell you if anything is worth looking at all or not.
Okay.
I'll tell you what I'll do. Let me put you back on hold because we're running out of time, Matt. I'm going to put you on hold. Larry, who's actually one of the owners there, will jump on and give you all the directions and details and how to make that work. So I'm going to do that real quick. Russ and Cheyenne installing Shop Air. That's going to be a little bit of an in-depth conversation. So hang tight. We're going to go to a break. We'll come right back. You'll be first up. We've got one line open, 303-477-5600. John Rush, Dennis Brewster, Drive Radio, Hour 3 coming up next right here on KLZ 560.
Still haven't had enough? Go to drive-radio.com. Email your questions and comments. Download previous programs and find lots of useful information, including your nearest Colorado Select Auto Care Center. That's drive-radio.com. Thanks for listening to Drive Radio, sponsored by the member shops of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers on KLZ 560.
Drive Radio is a presentation of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. The independently owned and operated shops of Colorado Select hold each other accountable for the highest standards of technical expertise, honesty, and professionalism. They all understand that choosing a mechanic is risky business, so Colorado Select was created by this exclusive group of like-minded professionals who are dedicated to raising the level of consumer confidence in Colorado's auto repair industry. Schedule your next oil change at any of the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers heard on Drive Radio, and you'll immediately see the difference. With a complete list of all the member shops in the state, visit drive-radio.com.
Freedom, liberty, truth. KLZ AM 560, KLZ HD Denver. Listen live at KLZ560radio.com. KLZ 560.
Like leadership together. And as these jurisdictions come to Jackson, we can rise. Bricks and violence in them. Tell us in the message, we don't want you in here.
That's Jackson, Mississippi City Councilman Kenneth Stokes making a statement that has been roundly condemned for his apparent advocating of violence against police. Stokes later said he was speaking about police officers from outside jurisdictions who entered the city. He said they put people in danger and he doesn't consider them police officers. He considers them thugs. Madison County Sheriff Randy Tucker said that law enforcement will not be intimidated by the councilman.
We know we can't stop every act of violence. But what if we tried to stop even one? What if Congress did something, anything, to protect our kids from gun violence?
As President Obama, for his weekly radio address chastising Congress for not enacting new gun legislation, the President announced he'll be meeting with Attorney General Loretta Lynch on Monday to use executive orders to change gun laws. USA Radio News.
Hey, it's Angie Austin. I want to tell you, I am so thrilled with my Ovation Cell Therapy System. My hair is longer, it's softer, and it's never been fuller. I've had friends comment on it, and my daughter likes my hair so much that Hope asked if she could start trying it. Hope, why do you like Mommy's Ovation hair products?
Because it makes my hair shiny and soft, and it feels so good, and it smells really good, and it smells like heaven.
Your hair does smell like heaven. I always tell her that I snip her hair, and I say, your hair smells like heaven. She says, I know it smells so yummy. All right, so if you want longer, thicker, stronger hair, and we've got a risk-free Ovation guarantee, you can go to ovationhair.com and then select Angie Austin on Daybreak USA. You'll get an introductory discount, and again, it's risk-free. Go to ovationhair.com, and your hair too can smell like heaven and be soft and long and smell especially yummy. I have to be honest with you, I love Ovation Cell Therapy System because my hair has never looked better, and I'm serious about that. Ovationhair.com, ovationhair.com.
KLZ done. Join us during the afternoon rush, weekdays from 3 to 6 on KLZ 560. Being an expert on general automotive knowledge, what would the correct ignition timing be on a 1955 Bel Air Chevrolet with a 327 cubic inch engine and full barrel carburetor?
It is a trick question.
Watch this.
The Chevy didn't make it 327 or 55. The 327 did come out to 62. And it wasn't all pedal barrel with the 4-barrel car to 64. However, in 1964, the correct ignition timing over 4 degrees before touchdown.
Get ready for another hour of Drive Radio, brought to you by Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. Got a question for the experts? Give them a call, 303-477-5600. Now it's time to pop over and get our hands dirty. Drive Radio on KLZ 560 The Source.
All right, and it is John Rush, Drive Radio, KLZ 560. Dennis Brewster with me from Extreme Auto Repair. And let's go right to the phones. We have one line open, 303-477-5600. Russ and Cheyenne, you are next. What's going on, sir?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
So I did what was not recommended, and I put a PVC system in my garage.
Okay.
For my shop air. I've been running it at my compressed pressure, not a regulated pressure.
Right.
I've been regulating it down at the nozzle, so I can make sure I keep my CFMs up, so my and my impact down and stuff like that. And so, of course, when I got COVID, I mean, obviously it's about 10 years old, but I was using my impact, and when the pressure load came back, I blew up my system. And so now I definitely understand why they don't recommend that.
You use PVC. Yeah, I mean, when you did the PVC, did you use the heavy gauge PVC, or what PVC did you use?
No, I used the heavy gauge stuff. I got the heaviest stuff I could get.
A lot of guys are still using PVC. I still like copper, and frankly, right now copper is cheap again, so you can actually run copper relatively inexpensive. I'm still a guy that likes the copper.
I've been looking at things, and I've used the PEX for plumbing and housing, and I'm really impressed with the PEX and with the brass fitting. I wonder if that would be acceptable for using as an airline.
How big's your garage?
That's 24 by 30.
Put copper in and be done with it.
Yeah. Okay.
It's easy. I mean, the other thing, and I mean that. I mean, copper's not hard. If you can sweat pipe, which most guys can, putting the copper in is easy. All the fittings are easy. Right now copper is down in price. I don't know what that means as far as the pipe goes. I haven't bought a stick of pipe for a while, but I know copper overall as an industry is way down right now. I gotta believe you could do that as cheaply as you could anything else, and it would last forever.
Yep. Okay. Copper is definitely it's way down compared to what it was.
I'd do copper. Knowing that, you just put the copper in for the little bit that you'd have to actually go and buy rust to redo it. I would do that, and again, you're still going to use your copper or brass fittings at that point, and away you go. I just think copper is easy to work with as the plastic is.
Yeah, I think it's easier yourself. I mean, you can do a lot of stuff with copper, and it's like John said, it's there forever,
and it looks cleaner when you're done.
Yeah.
What do you feel about as far as should I regulate the whole system when it first comes in?
You don't need to if you put copper in.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the other nice thing about it. You don't have to do a thing about it. You just put the copper in, plumb it right into you put a flex hose right into your compressor, and that's the only part you need a flex hose on, and call it good.
I just put a receiver dryer outside right as it comes out of the compressor.
That's all you got to do.
That's it.
Yep. The other way I got it set up is coming out of my compressor. I bought some hose from Napa and had them put the fittings on it for me. So,
that's how you do it. Yep.
And then put the dryer in, so it's dry when it comes in.
Yep.
and then I just ran different pressure regulators for like my glass cabinet and stuff like that.
So you're in good shape? Yep, you're in good shape? All right, Ross, appreciate it very much. Yeah, I am a guy that I like the copper airlines much better than I do the plastic ones. Now, that doesn't mean the plastic ones are bad or you can't run them. I just think the copper is that much easier to do. And
I just always stick with copper.
Right now, with copper being down, if you're going to do one now, put the copper in now. I will say this, and maybe, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there is a new plastic airline that's out, and I think Napa carries it. It's not PVC though; it's an actual plastic airline, and it's good stuff. But I don't know the price. I don't know if it's any cheaper or any more money than the copper side.
No,
do you guys know?
No, I don't know if it's any cheaper. I've seen it. I know what you're talking about, but I've already got my shop's already done with
the other stuff.
Yeah,
so it's not a big deal.
I actually have, when the guy I bought business from, he had steel. Or metal lines.
Got it.
But everything I've added on, I added a ton of lines on because it's
copper.
Yeah. Because I don't like hoses. I don't like the guys walking over hoses and
copper. It's easy to plumb in.
It is so easy. I've ran a lot of lines.
And on a garage like that, Russ, it won't cost you much to redo that. So at any rate, 303-477-5600. Hour number 3 is up right now. We would love to hear from you. This is our 3rd hour of the first show of 2016.
Right. And last, I want to go back to the TSB. Go ahead.
We got time. Go ahead.
Yeah, because we were talking about them. One of the things that they do, what I like about the manufacturers that they do, is when they do warranty work on these vehicles, a lot of times they want those parts back so they can look at them to see what they can do to make them better. And that's what the TSB is technically for, because then they find out in that labor op, how much does it cost? And they find out, why is it cheaper to fix this part at this place or whatever than it is in the other place? And it might be the way they're diagnosing it or the way that they're going about the repair, because the less the repair, then that's actually the manufacturer. If you can get everybody around the states doing the same thing,
right,
then it saves the manufacturer tons of money. And so that's where that TSB comes in. They're going to go back and say, this is what we'll take and fix that. Don't be doing everything else you've been doing, because this is a less expensive part. Way to fix this, and that saves them thousands of dollars by doing those TSBs. But a TSB a technical service bulletin doesn't mean that you're going to get your money back.
Right.
It's just telling the technician how to fix the car.
Here's a better fix for this.
Yes.
Updated fix, better fix, whatever. Okay, so I started off the show. We didn't go back to this yet. 15 common myths that you were taught to believe about cars. We talked as I was going to one of the breaks. We lost track. We had so many calls. That's fine. By the way, lines are open. Call us. We'll get you right on air. 303-477-5600. Bigger engines keep you safer during crashes. Now, I'd never heard that before, but I'm not sure why that would be the case.
Seeing these accidents come in, no, I don't think that's so true.
And this is a myth. No, that part of it doesn't matter. In today's world, every vehicle, every engine is crash tested. Otherwise, they can't put that engine in. And a lot of people ask, well, why can't I get this engine in such and such? Well, because there's probably another $1 million worth of testing, and they're not sure they can make profit on that.
Right.
That's why.
Yep.
Bottom line. Why can't I get a V8 and a Jeep Wrangler? Well, because it won't pass a crash test.
Right.
I already asked Chrysler that, actually directly asked Mopar that, and the answer I got was it won't pass a crash test.
Right.
So there's your answer. So sometimes it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the manufacturer. It's some of the laws and some of the things that they're having to pass when they put that car into production. So the engine is stronger than the brakes. No, brakes are always stronger. Always. I don't care how much horsepower you got. Yeah, they better be stronger.
Yeah.
All right, Ron is next in Golden. Ron, welcome. What's going on, sir?
I have a 2001 Dodge pickup,
Okay.
half-ton automatic, and the cooler lines for the transmission where it hooks to the quick connect to the cooler is starting to leak.
Okay.
And I've been researching it a little, and there's a lot of different opinions. Some people say they changed the lines and it still leaks because where the quick connect goes on is starting to get worn, and even with the new O-ring and everything, they still leak. Some transmission places said just slide a new rubber line on there and double clamp it.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
No, I'm never a big fan of putting a rubber line on top of where a steel line was supposed to be in the first place. There's no reason why a steel line will not seal up if it's a situation where it's not, installed correctly. It's over tightened. They've screwed the flare up, something along those lines. Then in that case, you've got to fix what the problem is. But I've never been a big fan of putting rubber in place of steel.
Okay, so this has a quick connect. So you're saying get a new transmission line.
Yes.
Put that on there.
Yes.
And should be good.
Yes.
So it should come with a new rubber,
which means you'll be in
all the
good shape.
pieces you need to put that back on.
Okay.
Yeah, I often wonder on some of the forums and other things why some people have such problem with repairs when there really isn't that big of a deal in fixing it. And maybe they're not using the same componentry, they're not using the factory equivalent parts, the special tools, whatever. I've never understood some of that on some of the forums.
Okay, I'll get a line.
Okay, appreciate it very much. That's the right way to do it. Kenny Lepore is up next. What's going on, sir?
Hey, John, I have a granddaughter out in Oregon going to college, and I told her if she kept her grades up, and she's trying hard and doing a pretty good job, I'd buy her a used car.
Okay.
And so she kind of likes these Mini Coopers, and I found one, a 2006 convertible.
Okay.
Doesn't have a turbo on it, and I was wondering what you and your fellow workers there thought about the durability, reliability, parts, and that sort of thing.
Dennis, you want to go first?
Well, I don't know if I have the same opinion as you, John. We sometimes, and we're just being honest, I don't see a lot of problems with those. I mean, we get them in occasionally, but I don't see a ton of those, to be honest with you. The Mini Coopers, we have a few customers that have them, and they just maintenance them every time we recommend something to get it done. So they've been in good shape. It depends on who's had that car before. That you'd almost have to have it checked out and make sure that everything has been done to it.
Did you say you found one with a manual transmission?
No, it's got an automatic, believe it or not.
Which automatic does it have? The CVT or the 5-speed auto?
Well, I don't know that. It's a 2006, and I was just thinking a regular automatic, maybe a 4 or 5-speed, something like that.
Yeah, one of the things that I do know from past experience is if it has a CVT transmission, I think I'd stay away from that particular model. If it's got the regular, 5-speed automatic transmission, I think that one would be okay, but I would not buy the CVT in that particular model.
That CVT, that works off of a series of belts and adjustable pulley.
Correct. That is correct.
Yeah.
And in those years, they just hadn't been fully developed. I mean, would I buy one in 2010? Yeah, I would not hesitate in 2010. But it's a lot of, we're a long way away from where we were back in 06 in the technology department.
Well, Subaru has those also. I guess we had problems with that.
They have, and again, same situation. They are much better today than they once were. Same thing with Nissan. They're much better today than they once were. Everybody cut their teeth on those. They are by far a reliable transmission today. Were they in the mid-2000s? It depended upon the make and model of what you bought. Not generally speaking, they were not that reliable in that particular era. The other thing to remember when it comes to Mini Cooper, not that it would keep me from buying one, but they are going to be more costly to repair just because it's a more specialized vehicle. In other words, if you went and bought a Toyota Camry, for example, versus a Mini Cooper, they're not nearly as sexy, but the Camry is a lot more reliable and easier to maintain and care for and costs less to own. Your overall cost of ownership would be less.
Well, I think to go along with what you're saying, I was talking at coffee with a bunch of guys the other day, and he was telling me on his BMW that he has to buy spark plugs at the dealer, he has to buy the oil filter at the dealer, and, they're not cheap. A spark plug is $25 a piece or something like that. Same with the oil filter and your fan belts and radiator hoses. And that's what I was also wanting your opinion.
Yeah, he's correct in saying that. Now, there's a website. It's a guy that I know that runs the website. In fact, I need to get him on air at some point in time down the road. He's not based here in Colorado, is why it's a little tougher for me to do that. But it's a website called TrueDelta.com, and he does car reliability not necessarily articles, but you can actually search for the reliability of a particular vehicle by just looking at the reliability stats. He collects data from, he's a kind of a data guy, and he collects data from all over the place, and you can probably go on there, I shouldn't say probably, you can go on there and find out the reliability of the Mini Cooper.
Now, if I ask the person, well, it's actually a dealer, that really scares me, but if I ask him if that's got a variable belt type of transmission, he would certainly tell me one way or another. He wouldn't lie to me about that.
They should tell you if it's got a CVT or not. No, that should be very well known by whoever's selling it.
Okay, and that online website that gives a survey.
It's called TrueDelta.com.
Okay.
And so I just looked real quick. So year ending September 30th of 2015, the repair trips per 100 cars on a 2006 Mini Cooper is 70.
Oh, $70? Not $700.
No, 70 repairs out of 100 cars.
Oh, so it's not, you're saying it's not terribly reliable then if it's...
That's what that's saying. Now, those could be minor repairs, those could be major repairs, and here's how it breaks down. Engine, 43% of the repairs. Suspension is 15% of the repairs. Electrical and AC are 23% of the repairs, and the rest of it kind of makes up all the rest of the stuff that's there. So the engine, believe it or not, is actually the largest known repair for the 2006 Mini Cooper at 43%.
Well, that's kind of a surprise to me because BMW makes that, and that's a German firm, and I've driven...
I don't know that they were actually in charge of that, though, back in 06. They are today, but I don't think in 06 they actually... I'd have to go back and look in my memory bank, but I don't think that Mini was owned by BMW in 2006.
Oh, well, if it was still made in England, you can just forget that, because... I had a TR3 one time, and I'd have to work on it all week to drive it 2 days on the weekend. So I'm not really impressed by the English ability to make a reliable auto anymore.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to have to go back in and look and see when BMW actually bought that because there was a couple of different owners of that during that era, and I'm not a Mini expert. So if somebody out there knows the answer to that and wants to call in, feel free to do so, 303-477-5600, because I'm not an expert when it comes to Mini Coopers, not by a long shot.
Well, I'm getting in contact with my granddaughter and told her the news, and
it's a sexy, it's a sexy car to drive. But frankly, I think you'd actually be more reliable putting her in a convertible Volkswagen Beetle, for example, than you would be that Mini.
Well, and her out there in Oregon, we don't want something that's going to be nickel and diming.
No, you do not.
Really? Okay, guys, appreciate the...
You're very welcome. Appreciate you calling us, and I'll try to do a little research through this break we're going to take. We got lines open, 303-477-5600. Any of you out there that are Mini Cooper experts, feel free to call in, because I am not. We'll be back right after this. Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
At Napa Auto Parts, we've been the most trusted name in auto parts for over 80 years. Probably because we've never stopped looking for ways to make the great parts we sell even better. It's a commitment to quality you'll find at every one of our 300 dental console buckets. From the bacteria-killing surface on our cabin air filters, to the patented damping mechanism in our Drive-A-Line belt tensioners, to our revolutionary new Adaptaform brakes. At Napa Parts are covered by a warranty that's good at any of our 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores nationwide. Yeah, maybe you don't get this at your average auto parts store, but at Napa, we've spent the last 80 years making sure we're anything but average. To find the Napa Auto Parts store nearest you, go to NapaAutoline.com. Napa, get the good stuff. With over 125 locations in Colorado, southern Wyoming, and western Nebraska, there's only one place to get the good stuff: Napa Auto Parts.
Geno's with a J is your go-to auto service shop in Littleton for all your car care needs. Needing an oil change? Take advantage of Geno's premium $29.95 oil change and receive a free set of windshield wipers with the mention of this app. See store for details. Brakes, alignments, or car maintenance. Geno's does it all. In business over 32 years, Geno's offers courtesy vehicles while your car is being serviced. They are conveniently located at Bowles and Platte Canyon in Littleton. Visit them online at genosautoservice.com. That's Geno's with a J.
Life has consequences, and a consequence of a poorly maintained fleet of work vehicles is the unfortunate timing of a breakdown. Your customers are counting on you, and one breakdown could be a deal breaker for the customer your driver was trying to reach. Maybe that customer has clients of his own who are demanding explanation, and so on. How long do you expect to be in business when your customers think you are unreliable? Your solution? Tilden Total Car Care. Using state-of-the-art software to monitor each vehicle in your fleet, Tilden can actually anticipate maintenance items before they become major repairs or ultimately breakdowns. Protect your profits, minimize downtime, and sleep better. Call Tilden Total Car Care today and ask about their fleet maintenance program. Call 303-797-7977. 303-797-7977. Tilden Total Car Care, helping as many people as they can, as fast as they can. Federal and Bellevue in Inglewood, and 6th and Peoria in Aurora.
At Arvada West Auto, we know that fluids are the life of your vehicle. They are also complicated, with all the different types, from motor oil to gear oils to coolant. The types of fluids, service procedures, and intervals can vary widely. Let us help you sort out what your vehicle needs and when it needs to be serviced. Stop in or call us at Arvada.
It's okay. And we got 10 seconds.
303-422-1065. You can visit us on the web at ArvadaWestAutoandTruck.com.
All right, John Rush, Drive Radio, KLZ 560. After a little research, I did determine that, yes, BMW did own Mini during those years. So from 2000 up, BMW has owned it. But we've got somebody else that's probably more of an expert on this than I am. Marv is on the phone. And Marv, are you a Mini Cooper expert?
Well, I don't know about a Mini Cooper expert. I've owned one since 2002.
Okay.
I got one of the first ones when they came to Denver.
Got it.
And still have the original car. And it's actually been fairly reliable.
Good.
We do not have the automatic transmission. We have the manual.
Okay.
And we have the S model, which is a supercharger in those years.
Got it.
As opposed to a turbocharger. And one of the disadvantage, and I think the 2006 model still has the supercharger in it if it's an S model. And that's something you should look at because they are supposed to have the oil changed in the supercharger.
Yes.
Every like 60,000 miles. And even Mini Cooper, the dealerships won't recommend that because they consider that just, they'd rather replace it.
Yeah, they don't want you doing that.
And it's quite a process to do it because I did it.
Yeah.
And it pretty much involves taking apart the whole front end. And they are harder to work on.
Yes, they are.
Honestly, ours has been pretty reliable. And
so would you? Okay, so question for you though: would you recommend that or buy that for your college-age student?
You know, I would not, and there's a couple of reasons. They are demanding to drive them.
Yes.
They are, especially if it's an S model. Now, the standard model is not quite so much, but it's still got the quick steering.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to pay attention to drive that car.
Yes, you do. I was going to add that to it because I noticed that the few that I've driven over the years as a press vehicle, and granted, I only get a week in them at a time, but and you tell me if I'm right or wrong in this, but it's not the most comfortable vehicle there is to drive either. Am I correct in saying that?
No, it's not. It's a very it's kind of a bone jarring ride. It's a fun car to drive if you like that kind of car.
Right.
But you sacrifice a ride and comfort to do that.
Yep. No, you're right. I had a good friend of mine along those lines real quick, Marv. I'm going to add to that so I don't forget real quick. I had a good friend of mine that a lady bought one of those. I think she thought similar to this college-age student that we were talking about a minute ago. Yeah, it's a sexy car. It's nice. I'll look good in it, all these different things.
She drove that car for about 18 months and then ended up in a turbo Juke, Nissan Juke, just because it was still a fun car to drive, still fast, but much, much more comfortable to drive than what the Mini Cooper was.
Yeah. It is not a car that I'd recommend for a young driver, even college age. The other issue is weather. If you get into snowstorms or any kind of snow like we have around here,
good point.
It pretty much sits in our garage during that time.
That's great. I didn't think about that. That's a great point because they are not an all-weather car by any means.
No, they are not. You can put snow tires on them and it will help, but the biggest problem is ground clearance on that car, and you hit ruts or big snowdrifts or something, and you're in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, you're 100% correct. I can't disagree with you. It's nice for somebody that's got a Mini Cooper to call in so somebody doesn't think I'm just ditzing him. I'm not. And I'm not saying it's a bad car. No, I just wouldn't buy it for my college age student.
Exactly. And you need to like that kind of car, and you need to know that you have to pay attention while you're driving it. You just twist your wrist a little bit and you can turn a lot more farther than you want to turn.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. That's good advice, Marv. I appreciate you calling in. That's a great tip. I'm sure Ken's still listening. So Marv, thanks for helping Ken out. I think that's great information.
You bet.
Thank you very much. You do the same. Appreciate that. It's great that our listeners help each other, by the way.
Right. And you make a great point. Sometimes we buy cars for the wrong reasons. And to buy a college kid a Mini Cooper or a Corvette or, certain cars, a WRX, for instance, I wouldn't buy. No, you can get that when you graduate college if you want, when it's your turn to buy.
Right.
But other than that, I'd get them a Honda Accord, is what I was thinking.
Honda Accord, Toyota Camry, or even a Corolla.
Nissan Sentra.
There's so many vehicles that kind of fit into that. And honestly, Ken, if you're listening, a car that has done really, really well with the younger generation and still has all of the Toyota reliability behind it is the Scion. Scion brand. You can accessorize them. They work fantastic. They're meant for that particular generation of drivers. I've not been disappointed with any of the ones we've driven as press cars. In fact, we just did a review on one here recently. I will tell you that that's a great car, especially for young buyers, because they're I don't want to say this. They don't have a lot of the creature comforts that a regular full-size type luxury car would have, yet they've got enough on them to where they're safe, they work. It's all Toyota reliability, but it doesn't have the Toyota price tag.
Right.
So it's a good vehicle. So let's do this. We'll take a quick break. 1/2 hour left of the first show of 2016. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Lines are open, 303-477-5600. John Rush, Dennis Brewster, Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
Your car's fuel economy was never better than when it was new. But time and miles have robbed your car of its MPG and performance. Service managers recommend BG44K to remove carbon and restore mileage in just one tank of fuel. In fact, dealerships nationwide use BG44K almost 3 to 1 over any other product. To find a shop with BG products, go to BGFindingShop.com. BG.
General Agents selling your car next week and saying to the buyer, hey, don't worry, because the engine is covered against failure for life. It's called the Lifetime Protection Plan for the Engine from BG Products. Now imagine having this huge benefit free with your next oil service while you remember these 2 letters, BG. BGMOA is available at over 20,000 shops nationwide. Find yours at BG Find a Shop.
John, what time do you want Scott to come on?
FindAShop.com.
BG. All right, I'll go let him.
Car Care Centers present
The last
60 ways to care for your car. Especially important this time of year is due
to get it situated. Okay, I'll let him know.
Make sure the fluid you choose is suitable for cold weather. If you're not sure, take it to any Colorado Select Car Care Center and they'll check it for you. Colorado Select is a hand-picked group of shop owners or ASE certified master technicians driven to provide exceptional customer service with, at a minimum, a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on every repair. Find a Colorado Select Car Care Center near you at coloradoselect.org.
We've all been there. You're under the hood and suddenly realize you don't have the parts you need. Or even worse, you don't know what parts you need. Well, at Napa Auto Parts, we have ASE certified parts specialists that will make sure you find that right part. One covered by a warranty at any one of 6,000 Napa locations. Yeah, finding the right part might not be easy, but fortunately, finding the right part store is. Go to NapaOnline.com for the location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
John Rush here. We want to talk to you again about pets, your pet in particular. But maybe you know somebody that has pets, but you have no idea where to direct them when there's some sort of an issue. Well, guess what? Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center, they are open every day of the year, including holidays. They run special hours on those days. They've got an emergency phone number. So this isn't one of those clinics where it's an 8 to 5 sort of a deal. But no, they do the whole 9 yards, including pet boarding. So, David, I know you've got a big dog, correct?
I do, a 3.5-year-old Alaskan Malamute.
Have you ever had to board him?
Not so far. We only adopted him about a year ago.
Okay, so I've got a place for you. If you and your wife have to go out of town, there's no family, no one else to watch, you have family at Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center. They'll actually take care of your dog just like you would.
That's great. They would have to be very special because he's a special guy.
Well, normally, again, this is a great center. It's 2 stories. They've got a full basement underneath where they do the grooming, swim therapy. They've got a full, by the way, on the upstairs level, they've got a full medical center where they do surgeries, the whole 9 yards. They have got this deal figured out, everything from digital x-rays to ultrasounds to laparoscopic surgery. They've got it covered. Doesn't matter what it is. Anything you need, they can take care of. But when it comes to the boarding side of the fence, David, they'll do the whole 9 yards, and I've been there, I've seen it, and guess what? It doesn't smell like the typical kennel that you would normally walk into.
That's nice, and it's also nice to know that they can handle a large breed dog.
And they can handle it for every day. Let's say you wanted to do daycare. They'll do that, or if you're going to go out of town for the next 3 weeks, they'll take care of that also. So anything you need, Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center is the place to go to. It's 303-708-8050. Call them today, or you can visit them online at LoneTreeVet.com.
This is Red Larry for Phoenix Weaponry. Phoenix Weaponry is a weapon manufacturer that services the firearm enthusiast. From precision ARs to suppressors, Phoenix Weaponry can make your dreams come true. Phoenix Weaponry is a full-service gun shop that offers gunsmithing, coding, and modifications to your own weapon. Phoenix Weaponry, family-owned and operated right here in Colorado. If you can dream it, Phoenix Weaponry can build it. Call today.
15 seconds.
40-2496. Again, that's 720-340-2496. Or visit their website, phoenixweaponry.com. Mention Sports from Colorado and receive 10% off your custom-built weapon.
All right, John Rush, Drive Radio, KLZ 560, along with Dennis Brewster. And welcome to the first show of 2016 for us. Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you're all having a great holiday weekend and a great Christmas. And we're heading to 2016. Hope it's a great year for everybody listening. Let's go to Dale real quick, who's got a comment on Mini Coopers. Dale, welcome.
Hey, John, how you doing?
Good,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
On the Mini Coopers and anything out of Europe, period, if anybody buying one, don't ask for 2 keys, demand 2 keys, because the European market it's hard to get any information, you can't get key blanks, and most of the programming on the keys has to be done at the dealer.
Got it.
Because the locksmith area we just don't have the stuff to do it.
Makes sense.
And on the BMWs, you're only allowed, they're set up to where that you can only put 8 sets of keys in that car. And once the 8 sets of keys are in it, you have to replace the computer.
Okay.
Oh,
I
didn't know that.
Yeah, they're only, what they do is if you order a key, I believe, is like I always say, you got to have one heck of a warehouse for the many BMWs you got out there. And, but they have the right key blank that they have it in, they have the codes for that particular vehicle in the computer. So when they need a key, they just put the key in and then program the key with that value.
Got it.
So the keys are basically pre-programmed for the 18 when you get them.
Okay, makes sense. All right.
Most of you just got to have a remote program.
Makes sense. Appreciate that, Dale. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate that. Happy New Year to you, Dale. Appreciate the phone call very much. Let's go to Steve in Aurora, who is next. Steve, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me on there.
You're very welcome.
I mean, my question is, my daughter's kind of a Nissan Xterra, so I'm kind of looking around for one of those. But liability issues, that's kind of what I'd like to know. Have you heard of any liability issues other than, I do know that they have a few problems with the trannies on that second generation with the tranny cooler and stuff, but other than that, I don't really know.
Well, they're pretty good. Mm-hmm. I like Nissan, so I'm going to be a little partial to them. But that Xterra, I thought they did a pretty good job.
It's a good vehicle.
Yeah.
I got nothing bad to say about it at all.
And if you've been listening, it's a lot better than the Mini Cooper. I would definitely
that's not my style.
Yeah. Especially around here, that's a good vehicle for
it. Is. It's a good all-around vehicle.
Around here, because you can go to the mountains with it.
It's a really versatile vehicle, actually. I like the Xterra. It's a great vehicle.
Right. It's nice.
Right. What do you think is better, that 3.3 or the 4-liter?
It's hard to say. I think the 3.3 has been pretty good for them, though. I don't know. John, do you have anything?
That all comes down to, on a used one like that, it would come down to more in my world of what do you find, what's the price, how well has it been cared for, what kind of conditions it in. If you're looking used, now new, that's a whole different ballgame, but if you're looking at it used, I'd look more at the condition history of the vehicle as much as I would anything else.
Yeah, and make sure you get it checked out by somebody.
Exactly.
Because then you can use that information to go back to get a better price on the vehicle.
Exactly right.
Yeah, I learned that from you guys.
I appreciate
the way to go.
Yeah.
All right,
Steve. I appreciate it very much. Good luck to you on that. Craig is up next. Welcome, Craig.
How you doing?
Good.
I've got an 03 Mini Cooper S. Love the car. I don't baby it. I am careful about changing the oil at regular intervals, watching all the fluid levels, religiously. The harsh ride complaint sometimes comes from the fact that they are normally equipped with rim flat tires.
Okay.
And once those were worn out, I went to a standard set of tires. But one thing to be cautious of there is that you do not have a spare tire.
Right. And if you do have a flat, you've got to be careful.
Right. As far as, the performance is great. We've got 110,000 miles on ours. It runs as well as the day we bought it. Only complaint, small electrical issues become persistent on some things like door lock regulators, window regulators as far as your power windows, things like that. Another complaint is the dealer network. There's only you almost need to find somebody that knows how to work on them outside of the dealer network, because there's only one dealer in the Denver area, and that services a multi-state area. Getting an appointment in there is almost impossible. I do have a dealer here in town and also in Loveland, which has gotten a little bit better, but there are a lot of Mini Coopers out there. So people that want to go to a dealer-only situation are going to have a considerable wait getting their cars serviced.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, but I did do a front brake upgrade on it. One issue was rotors getting warpage. Actually had some better, like a Brembo front brake package put on, and had no further problems since. So those are some things that, if you like that type of car, they're a blast to drive. The acceleration is great, the handling, the parking, and they're not too bad out on the highway, again, if you don't have the run flats.
Got it. Makes sense. Makes total sense. Yeah, that's good info. I think, again, I think Kim's going to call his granddaughter and talk a little more and see what happens. But okay, so question for you, since we've asked this already to the other Mini Cooper owners, would you recommend that for a college-age driver?
Well, most college-age drivers are not big on maintenance. The last time I knew someone in college age that bought one, they didn't even know to rotate the tires. The front tires were bald, the rear tires had all kinds of tread left on the back. So I would stay with a Honda product, Toyota product, like you say, a Civic, an Accord, something like that. They may not be as fun to drive, but you're going to have a spare, even if it is just a donut. You know, they run forever. Of course, you have to take into consideration timing belts. The Mini Cooper has a timing chain. If you get in maybe a Honda product, you're looking at the possibility of a timing belt, which is an expensive repair.
Good point. It's true. It's a maintenance item on a lot of vehicles, but it depends on the vehicle. In some cases, that's $100K change. And if that's been done prior to purchase, or he gets it done for her, then that would not be a big item either. Definitely, to your point, not a deal killer, but something to be aware of.
And one thing is, they are the resale is disappointing. I mean, what the book value is on our car, even though it's, you know, in great condition, it's the depreciation factor is pretty good on them as well.
Good point. Smaller market of audience to sell it to.
Right.
Yep. Good point, Craig. That's great info. I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You bet. Thank you. And that's kind of coincides with what we were talking about, Dennis.
Yep.
Didn't change a whole lot.
And, you know, with oil, you know, like with oil changes, if you don't do those, then that's really bad on the timing chain.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can read the guides. You know, everything's working off lubrication there.
Great point.
And
okay, real quick, I got one email that came in. Chuck was asking a question. Changing tire size. 2013 Chevy 2500 HD came with 245/75 17s. He's going to install 245/70 17s instead of the 75 17s, going to a 70 17. Since the 70 series is about an inch shorter, any issues if I have to use the original 75 series spare on the front or the rear? Also, I have the G80 rear end. What I would say is, as long as you don't run that spare tire for very long, Chuck, you'd be okay, but I wouldn't want to run it for a very long length of time, because that difference in size could adversely affect transfer case, the locking rear diff, things like that. So yes, you have to be really careful with that. Not to say you couldn't go down. I guess the other question I would have, Chuck, and if you want to email me back on this, is it's fine, you can. Why the change? Why not just stay with the 245/75 17s, or you could actually put 265/75 17s on there, or a 265/70 17, and it would be about the same size.
Yeah.
Why not go that direction?
Right.
I think I would, instead of trying to go, maybe you want a little bit shorter clearance getting in and out of the truck or something, maybe, I don't know. Anyways, Chuck, if you want to answer me back on that, that'd be fine. Let's do this. Take a quick break. We'll come back, finish out our last segment. I've got another email that came in. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Drive Radio, last segment coming up next, right here on KLZ 560.
Colorado Select Car Care Centers present 560 ways to care for your car. Especially important during these colder months is to always keep your gas tank at least half full. This decreases the chance of moisture forming in the gas lines and possibly freezing. Colorado Select is a hand-picked group of shop owners who are ASE certified master technicians, driven to provide exceptional customer service with, at a minimum, a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on every repair. Find a Colorado Select Car Care Center near you at coloradoselect.org.
How stressful. You hear a noise, see a fluid leak, feel something funny, a little light comes on your dash, or your car totally breaks down, and you have no idea what it means, what to do, or how to fix it. With how much we depend on our cars to go about our daily lives, you'd think they'd teach us this stuff in school. Luckily for you, you have us. At Community Auto, we're serious about what we do, and we're darn good at it. Having served Fort Collins and Northern Colorado for over 20 years, our family-owned and operated AAA-approved shop has family that extends far beyond our garage doors. At Community Auto, we put the emphasis on care, not just auto repair. Ladies, ever felt intimidated going into an auto repair shop? Scared you'll be taken advantage of? Our female staff is friendly, knowledgeable, and will thoroughly explain and educate you on what's going on with your car. You'll be in the know and in turn be taken care of. Because at Community Auto, we know that a happy car will get you far.
At Napa, we're always trying to make the great parts we sell even better. From the bacteria-killing surface on our cabin air filters to our revolutionary low adaptive wind brakes. And every Napa part is covered by a warranty good at any of our 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores. Yeah, maybe you don't get this at your average auto parts store, but we've spent the last 80 years making sure we're anything but average. Go to NapaOnline.com for a location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
Every car has a transmission, and every transmission needs servicing. But most drivers ignore their transmission. Don't fix what ain't broke, as they say. Larry's Automotive is the area's most respected transmission and driveline repair facility, and they'll tell you that most of the expensive repairs they do could easily have been avoided with regular scheduled maintenance. Maybe they were told by a mechanic that their transmission fluid was getting dark, or maybe there was a slight hesitation between gears. Whatever the case, they are now faced with expensive repairs. Larry's technicians are ATRA and ASE certified, and their warranty covers you even if you're out of town.
20 seconds.
Better for transmission repair than Larry's Automotive. The truth is, they would have preferred to do the preventive maintenance instead. Larry's Automotive and Transmission Repair, the Driveline Pros on Bradburn Boulevard in Westminster. Call 303-427-2108. 303-427-2108.
All right, John Rush, Dennis Brewster, Drive Radio, KLZ 560. We had one more question that came in. Advice on locating a good technician in the 120th and Colorado Boulevard area that does emissions repairs. The closest we're going to have is Larry's Automotive and Transmission over at 74th and Bradburn Boulevard, basically, right, Larry? 72nd Bradburn. 7231 Bradburn Boulevard. Should have that memorized by now. I say it enough.
You just did. Yeah.
303-427-2108. Larry's Automotive and Transmission. Give them a call, and they'll take care of you. I'll answer this via email also. But, Chuck, if you're still listening, Larry's Automotive and Transmission can help you with that, and they'd be happy to take care of you. Also got another email in from somebody. I've been giving advice on buying a truck, and they decided instead of buying a diesel, they bought a new 2016 Ram 2500 with a 6.4 Hemi. Said it's an 8-foot box. Said, love the truck. It's absolutely awesome. Happy New Year. Thank you. It's always nice when they buy what we recommend.
Yeah.
He has none of those toying around with what to buy and what to do and all of that, and diesel versus gas. And again, any of those questions you've got, you do not have to wait until Saturday to ask them. You can go right to our website. It's drive-radio.com. Go on there, check it out, find all of our sponsors, all the tips and tricks and all the different things we have going on. And Dennis, you've got something we haven't talked about yet during this hour coming up next week. What are we doing?
Accident awareness. So if you want to find out,
so I don't want to be in an accident, right?
No, and people are going to think, well, I don't need to go to that because I'm never going to be in an accident. You never know, and that's why they call it an accident.
That's fact.
So if you want to know what to do, how to prepare yourself before you get in an accident, we're going to be able to talk about all those kind of things.
If it wasn't an accident, you'd know about it ahead of time and it would be avoided.
Yes, it's true.
Right?
Right.
So what you're going to talk about is when one happens, because they do,
yes,
what to do.
And what to do before it happens and after it happens and during it.
Okay.
So and we're going to have a chiropractor there to talk to you about how you should fix your seat and what to do after an accident. And we're going to have an insurance guy there talking about how it works. And because we're a tow yard, we impound cars all the time for accidents. We can explain why the car should go to a tow yard. Because a lot of people think, well, if it goes to a tow yard, they're going to strip it down. We're regulated by the police and by PUC, so stringently, it's not going to happen. Yes.
So they need to register with you, right?
Yeah, they can go to the website, extremeautorepair.com, and you can sign up in there, or you can call us at 303-841-1071, and it'd be good to register because we want to get some gifts and we want to make sure we have enough food and things, and it's going to go from 10 to 1, and the radio show is going to be there live, so you can listen right there.
Fun.
Yeah.
I'll have a blast.
Please come on down. Yes.
All right, another email just came in. Jim's got a 2010 Ford F-150, has zero problems with it since he bought it new. We advised him years ago to flush the transmission every 60,000 miles. He wasn't really comfortable with the maintenance schedule that Ford had. So what interval, Dennis, would you change or flush radiator, power steering, brake fluid, and diffs on a 2010 F-150?
Well, it depends when he's a 2010.
Yeah,
it depends when what are you using it for? Are you dropping your boat in the water? Then you would do it more often.
True.
So it all depends. I would say the minimum I would do it is about every 60,000 miles.
And I would say on all of those, radiator, power steering, brake fluid, diffs, every 60K, 5 years, whichever one of those comes first. Jim, that's what I would do. If you're listening, great. Let me know that, and I won't respond via email. If you want me to, I'll still send an email back. If I don't hear from you, I'll just send an email back. But yeah, I would do about 60K on each one of those. I think that's good advice, Dennis. Bill in Lakewood, you're up next. What's going on, sir?
Hey, quick question here. What's happening with the Bradley station? Now I noticed the one by my house, it's got Sinclair on it, and Sinclair is a top tier, right?
That's true.
So what's the scoop?
I don't know the guys at Bradley well enough to answer that question. If it says Sinclair, that's what you're going to go off of, though. I don't know.
It's Sinclair, because I know that Bradley, that gas was pretty crummy.
The Sinclair is a top tier fuel, so if it says Sinclair, you can use that fuel, and it is not just considered, it is top tier fuel.
I put it in my wife's car because I don't know, I filled it up a couple of times after that.
Got it.
So got my results. Okay, well, I'll give it a shot.
No, that sounds great, Bill. Yeah, I don't have an inside scoop connection with Bradley's. If somebody out there does, you can tell me what the deal is, but if it's got a Sinclair, so here's the top tier stations in Colorado. I'll just run through these again. We do this from time to time. Conoco, Costco, Diamond Shamrock, Phillips 66, Shell, Sinclair, Suncor, and Valero. I'll update that again here in 2016 if anything changes, but that pretty much, with the exception of the like the Quick Marts and the supermarket chains, pretty much handles everybody else out there anyways. Yep. So your, little corner U-Pumpets and so on aren't on there, and there's a reason why.
Well, and to be honest with you, it's more like customers are going to go where they get the best value.
That's right.
So these other ones are going to go away eventually, and that's why these are becoming so much stronger.
Yeah.
Is because we visit where we get taken care of and we get the right product.
And we've been talking about top tier for a very long time, so it's nice to see a lot of these other stations being added. Used to be it was only a Conoco, Shell, Phillips 66. Those are the only three we had in Colorado. So this changed about a year ago, actually. I'll recheck this here in the near future and see if anything else changes for 2016. But really, that's pretty much everybody in our Colorado network when it comes to filling up fuel. All right, let's see if I can get a few more of these myths. The 15 common car myths. The last one we talked about was with the bigger engine being
brakes. We talked about brakes.
The next one is SUVs are safer than cars. Sometimes not.
Right.
Just because it's an SUV doesn't necessarily always mean that it's safer. It depends on how well it does in the crash testing and so on. You'll have to look at that and determine exactly what the case is there with that particular vehicle. The next one is all gas is created equal. We just talked about that. That's a myth. It's not created equal. There's a big difference between top tier and non-top tier fuel. So yeah, make sure that you're paying attention to those top tier stations because that is a big deal. When fueling up, there's no problem with getting back in the car. That's a myth. There is a problem.
Yes, it is.
Don't, because you can create static electricity. Static electricity can then actually have a spark. A spark ignites the fumes, and voila.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's worse in the summer than it is the winter.
Yes.
Because there's more fumes pouring out with the summer because it will rise up with the heat. The cold temperatures will actually keep that down on the ground a little bit better. So just be aware of that. Getting in and out of the car can cause static electricity and can cause a problem. So yeah, you want to make sure of that. Let's see what the next one is. So yeah, don't get back in the vehicle when fueling up. Convertibles are more dangerous than hard tops. Used to be the case, not so much anymore because the newer cars are designed to handle the rollover and all that, even if they are convertible. Increasing the speed limit will cause more wrecks. It hasn't.
No.
That's also another myth. It's not the case. Typically, there's actually more crashes in lower speed zones than there are in higher speed zones. So Scott Watley is walking in and going to fill us in on what's happening on Sportsman of Colorado, which is happening next right here at 1 o'clock.
Hey, John, Happy New Year to you guys.
Happy New Year to you.
International Sportsman's Expo coming January 14th through the 17th at the Convention Center. We're going to have John Kirk on, and he's the Director of Communications, and I'm going to actually give you some tickets that you can give away this week.
Right on. That'll be fun. Perfect.
Right.
That's perfect.
Matter of fact, we'll just take the first caller if you want to call in now.
Okay, so if you call in now before we end the show in about 4 minutes, we'll get you a free pair of tickets to the Sportsman's Expo. 303-477-5600. First caller gets those. Thank you, Scott.
And then Austin Parr from Discount Tackle. We've been out doing some waterfowl hunts with Austin, and Austin also does ice fishing guiding. And so we're going to be talking about that.
Good, and you know what? Here's the answer to that. Good for him.
Yeah, that's the way I feel too. And that is just not, I can do the whole hunting thing and camo and freezing, but sitting out on ice, so purpose over a little drilled hole, yeah.
That's never done much for me.
There's some guys that fell in the Evergreen Lake recently, so we're going to talk about the thickness of ice, safety, because that's
ice moves.
That's a bad deal.
Something about lake water, ice, frozen freezing yourself. No offense, Scott. None of that ever sounded appetizing to me. But I will say this: there are some guys that love it because the fish are usually a little more docile.
I was at the store this morning. Guys are buying all these.
That's right.
Getting ready to go out. So.
More power to them.
And then you met Donnell Johnson and Lisa Thompson.
Yes.
They're with Hunt Data, and they're going to be doing a seminar this year at the International Sportsman's Expo. So Donnell will be joining us. So a lot of great seminars this year, some new things that we've helped them put together with local companies here. So be a good show, and we're going to be giving away a couple of pair of tickets to our show as well. But I will get you some for.
So what big plans for 2016 for Sportsman's of Colorado? Anything?
I don't know if my wife's listening in, so I'll go ahead and run through some. Yes. Well, I've got some events coming up, and our good friend Stefan is down at the Dallas Safari Club.
So somehow Dennis and I need to get on some of
This is not fair.
No, it's not.
I think that way you can really understand.
You could. That's right. We could talk more about it. Yes.
I think you got a caller. Ron, you just on the tickets.
Ron, you're up next. What's going on, sir?
Yes, I'm returning this year. I'm looking for a 63 Chevy step side.
Okay.
I was wondering the best website to go on.
For a 63, if you're looking for a specific model brand of car, two places: eBay or Hemmings.
eBay or Hemmings.
eBay or Hemmings would be the two places I would go to if you're looking for something that unique, that specific. Those are the only two places to go to. So we still have a pair of tickets to give away. We got 1 minute. 303-477-5600. Give us a call and you win those tickets. You don't have to come on here, by the way. Just call in, tell Larry. He'll get with Scott. We'll get you a free set of tickets. It's that simple. So, what other big
we got you guys on some waterfowl hunts. I'm telling you,
that'd be fun.
As long as we're not sitting on a bucket on ice.
I can let somebody else do the ice fishing.
Red Merrill hunt.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
That's what we're wanting. Yeah, that's it.
Go down the window and shoot.
That'd be great.
So we'll get you hooked up on one of those. And then, don't know if Africa's in the plans for this year since we just went last year, but we will be talking a lot about Africa throughout this year. We are hoping to go to Kansas this year on a whitetail hunt with archery. Got a winner yet?
Well, let's find out. Nikki, you're next.
Yeah, I'm calling about the tickets.
All right, you won. You are the winner, so you get a free. Is that a pair of tickets? Free pair of tickets to the Sportsman's Expo.
Just give me your mailing address.
All right, so I'll put you on hold for just a minute, Nikki. We'll get all that information. So there's your winner. All right, perfect. That's awesome.
That's good.
All right, well,
looking forward to a great year, man. We are, and so I want to get you guys on some things.
That'll be fun. We like that.
It'll be a lot of fun. Yeah. And so I hope we'll go to Kansas and maybe Texas, do some whitetail hunts, and really try to get into archery a little bit more. I've always been a rifle
archery's fun.
So, there you go.
I'm going to try to get back. That's one of my goals this year. Is I want to get back into that. So we'll get my move done and all that done. I'll have a place and
we'll get you down to No Limits Archery and get you hooked up.
That's awesome. All right, guys. With that, we're out of here. Scott's coming up next on Sportsman of Colorado. Dennis Brewster, Extreme. Thanks.
We'll
see you next week.
It was fun.
We're out at your place.
Yeah.
Live.
Oh, we're going to do it again this year.
That's right. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. Yeah, we're going to be back next year at Dennis's place. Larry on the other side of the glass and Media, our great engineer, will be back. God bless you guys. Have a great, happy 2016 and be safe through the rest of this holiday weekend. I'll see you Monday right here on Rush to Reason at 3 o'clock every single day. This is KLZ 560.
Still haven't had enough? Go to drive